Alright mga kaibigan, tuloy-tuloy po tayo sa Power and Play sa oras po ng 8:23. Makakasama po natin ngayon at this time ay isa kong kaibigan. Somebody that I've worked with all the teams, of course, when I was in the PBA, and of course, after the PBA. He is a PBA legend, a former MVP, a champion in the PBA, and now he is an outspoken podcaster. Walang iba kundi si Major Pain, Eric Menk. Good morning, Eric.
Thanks for having me on this morning.
My goodness, it's good to see you, Eric. You're as usual. You look dapper. You look fit. You look great. You know, one of the reasons why I've been wanting to get you on the show is because your Twitter feed has been lit. It has been rocking. You know, a lot of people have, of course, retweeted all of the things that you've been putting out there, and it's just great to hear it from somebody who's been there in the past. So let me go quickly to the issues, the burning issues that have surrounded basketball lately. One of the things that really took the social media by storm is your post about Kai Soto. You mentioned in that post that Kai ain't making it as an American, quote unquote, and you said an American big. And you said, I said 2 years ago he should have gone to Europe. I stand by that. Eric, we know about what happened to Kai in the Gilas bubble. Do you think that decision was a mistake? And do you think that has had a huge impact on his dreams of making the NBA?
Well, unfortunately, yeah, I do think it was a mistake. I do, you can't go back and change it. And I do think it had a big impact because, he had opportunity to get great exposure. He's obviously committed a great deal of time and effort into getting exposure and trying to make the NBA. And he missed out on that opportunity this year. It was very unfortunate. I'm sure if they could go back and change that. But in the end, I put tweets out there. In the end, it's because, I care. I'd love to see him make the NBA. And he didn't. Basically, 1 year now is in a prime development year for him. Unfortunately, is going to be lost.
You mentioned the pathway towards Europe. Do you still believe that is open to him and that is the best road to take at this point?
I mean, I would look into it. I thought a couple of years ago there was a lot of talk of him going to Europe and having offers, and certainly in Europe they have a track record for developing international players. They have a track record of developing international big men, which is what he is. I think his style of play isn't the running, jumping center as like a Rudy Gobert or a Clint Capella or, say, a Tyson Chandler. That's not his style of play. His style of play is more towards, the high side. You're looking at, a Porzingis maybe, or maybe a Gasol brother or something like that. So I thought he should have taken that opportunity a couple years ago. They did it, which is fine. There's multiple ways. I don't know if that door is still open for him, but if it is, I would pursue it because they're playing in Europe. Basically, he just needs to find a place where he can play because the G League season is over and he can't play here. So, we want the best for his development, but these years are very important.
Neither can he play, of course, in the USNCAA, and really his options is starting to close down. But again, as you said, we are all supportive of Kai. We certainly hope that he finds his road, his path towards the NBA, because at the end of the day, it'll benefit Philippine basketball. Let's go to another topic here, Eric. Sure. Bobby Ray Parks has, the issue of Bobby Ray Parks Jr. has been burning as well. We know what happened. He refused to sign the contract offered to him by Talk and Text, and instead he has opted to sit out the rest of the season or this season. First of all, did you find anything wrong or odd with what Parks did in terms of sitting out the season?
Well, I thought it was odd. I thought it was obviously it's a unique situation that doesn't happen very often. I thought it was odd that without communicating to the team, he chose to post it on social media. So I thought his communication could have been better. But in my opinion, and this is a view that I don't see, people don't take the point of view that I have in this situation is no one's really been critical of his mother team, of TNT. What people don't understand is in the PBA, everybody knows when your contract is coming up. And TNT had the whole year, his mother team or whoever, any player's team, mother team is, has the whole year to re-sign the player. And for whatever reason, they couldn't get it done. Like their competitors are going around, they're trading for CJ Perez, they're trading for Kristen Sanhardinger, they're signing Calvin Abueva. TNT can't even sign their best player. And then they turn around and blame Ray Parks instead of asking the question, how come this guy doesn't want to sign with you? He'd rather sit out than sign with you. Mm-hmm. So I wish Ray, I like Ray, I know him. We don't know his situation. He said there were issues with his mother. People automatically say he's lying. Well, how do you know he's lying? There's a global pandemic going on. His mother is obviously older. We know older people are at risk. So we don't know that he's lying. We don't know what the health is of his family. We don't know his situation. We haven't heard his side. So it's unfortunate that, the owner of the team slams him. The chairman of the PBA slams him. His head coach slams him. When the reality of the situation is they have his rights. He's an asset. And instead of fixing the situation, everybody wants to tell Ray, hey, he's being unprofessional. But, here's what happens in the PBA. If you're a PBA player, your team doesn't tell you a month in advance when they're going to cut you or when they're going to trade you. And they said, oh, he should have told them sooner. Well, the PBA, he told them before the draft. The PBA teams aren't even practicing right now. They don't even have a start date. So if he decides not to play, he gave them plenty of time in advance. And I don't understand. Maybe from what I understand, from the feedback I got, it doesn't seem like a lot of people like Ray Parks for whatever reason. Some of that's probably his fault. But anyway, Go ahead. I'll let you chime in on what I said.
I totally agree. We don't know what's going on with Ray. My point here in this particular issue is it's Ray's right not to sign. I mean, no player can be forced to play for whatever reason, especially if you have an expired contract. And if you decide not to sign an offer, that is your right. And no one can say that because you did not sign, then you are a bad person, you are in the wrong. And now, here's the thing, Eric, and I want to get your point, your opinion on this. Now the PBA, although Commissioner Willie has said that there is no ban on Ray, but now they're saying that, they will not give him any clearances to sign elsewhere. And again, I don't understand that. I remember the case of Asi, and you were teammates in the ABL. Asi also did not want to sign in the PBA at that time, and he decided to play in the ABL because he had no existing contract. And again, here it comes. Ray is being asked to sign. He does not sign, and now they're blackballing him. It could be a thing about even getting a job outside of the country. What do you think about that?
It's just a shame, and it's wrong. Like, I feel the powers that be are kind of throwing a temper tantrum because they didn't get their way. They're not used to having players say no or whatever. Basically, they didn't get their way, so now they're trying to force him into a situation that his only option is to re-sign with his mother team. Now, Ray is good enough to go play somewhere else. He doesn't necessarily need the PBA. And honestly, I don't know why the PBA isn't coming down harder on TNT to sign him because he's an asset. Yeah, they can't do it, but he's an asset, and they just lost one of their best assets in a league that's already struggling. You know, you have other players that are playing somewhere else, but I think that's wrong. I think the rule is wrong, but if they want to enforce, okay, he can't go play for another PBA team, okay, that's the rules. But if he's not under contract, and why wouldn't you release him to go play in another non-competing league?
I agree. You know, at least in the PBA, he cannot sign with any other team. I agree that that is the rule. He signed that in his UPC, and you know, nothing can be done unless the PBA changes its rules. But playing elsewhere, I mean, that's another matter. Just a final point on Bobby Ray.
Sure.
Your advice, Eric, to Bobby Ray. What would you advise? What you give it? I know you played under his father. You played in the APL under his father, and you know the kid, as you said. You know, what's the best advice?
My advice to him would be, I think communication solves everything. You know, I don't know exactly what he wants to do, but I would reach out. It's obvious that, you know, Chairman Vargas and Chat Reyes aren't reaching out to him. I mean, I'm assuming based on what they said, but I would reach out to them, try to communicate with them, and find a way to build that bridge back and build some trust back, because whether you play this year or not, that team holds your rights. And, you know, it's communicate. I think what people want more than anything is, hey, instead of putting it out on social media and then cutting the line cold, communicate, express what you're feeling, express what you want, to where maybe you can get something in the future. You're going to need their help. So just communicate with your bosses and communicate with the PBA and try to, you know, he's a really good player. I'm sure if he doesn't play this year, he's going to want to play in the future, and just work that out with the powers that be.
Absolutely. You know, it's always good never to burn your bridges. I really think that Bobby Ray should play in the PBA, but then again, we don't know what's really up with him. We just wish him all the best. Let me go to another topic here. There are certain players that did not make the PBA regular draft, mostly Philams, but are playing in the 3x3 league. Eric, you know, you've been there. I know, you know, that all of those papers, you know, was meant to make sure that the what happened in the past does not happen again. But do you think the rules of the PBA need to be changed now, especially since they actually accept the fact that these players can play in 3x3?
Yeah, it's very inconsistent and very confusing. So it doesn't make sense. A lot of things these days don't make sense to me, really. But I think they should examine it, because this is a problem that is already a problem, right? Like, you're seeing players that have brothers, have the same parents, but they were born in different places, so one's eligible and one isn't. That's confusing enough. So, and this is going to continue happening in the future, because, you know, there's a next generation of players coming. So some consistency, re-examining rules to, I guess, adapt to the times is something that needs to be looked at. They haven't looked at it in 20 years, over 20 years. So, again, if you want the PBA to flourish, you want it to be consistent. You want it to have the best talent available for the fans. So you want to basically make the best product to make it the most attractive for the fans. How do you do that? Well, you know, it's by adapting and continuing to evolve. So I'm hoping that the PBA does that. But it is strange. I can see how, if I was, you know, it's confusing to me, but as a fan, you're like, hey, these are really good players playing in the 3-on-3. How come they're not playing in the normal? It's very sad.
And then again, the PBA is an entertainment platform. Let's face it; it's really to sell products. You know, I would certainly welcome the best players that can play in the PBA. it's different when you start jumping into the national team. Then that's when you become a little more strict. But then again, basketball has changed, and eligibility rules, even in the FIBA, has changed. That's why the 3x3 has become a little more lax than it is with 5-on-5. You were mentioning a while ago about the players that have moved. A lot of players have done that. CJ, Stan Hardinger, Abueva, and many more. There are two trains of thought, Eric, about how the league must go about it. One thinking is that there has to be parity, but some people say that's boring. Other people say that you got to load teams just to have rivalry, and that brings up some kind of intense competition. What is your position? Do you think that teams getting loaded is good for the league?
Me personally, I don't think it is, but I mean that's the way it has been over the last at least 5 years. I don't know if that has turned out to be a good thing. Are the ratings better? Are the fan attendance better? Is the social media analytics better that way? I don't know. I don't have the numbers. I think that there is enough talent in the league to where 10 or 12 teams, if you spread it out, it could be a very competitive league. And you want it to be a mystery on who's going to win that particular conference. Not sure there's always going to be a range of contenders, but those contenders have narrowed, I would say, over the years. And I personally don't like it, but you'd have to really dive into the data, and like you said, it's a business, and figure out what the balance is. What do the fans really want to see? I should ask you, what do you think? You're a former commissioner and a former executive. Like, how do you like it?
I don't like it. I mean, I've always believed in parity. As you said, unpredictability always, sells. The statements, for instance, of Coach Yengia that the teams are now only fighting for 5th place. That really hurts the league. I mean, if that's a statement that cannot be taken sitting down by the commissioner. Actually, it is detrimental to the league. I believe that teams should be given a fair chance. But then again, how do you correct this imbalance? Eric, for instance, during your time, we know that somehow there were trades that were not allowed because, this would just simply create a lot of imbalance. Do you think the trades are now just being allowed left and right by this trading committee?
Yeah, they're being allowed, and it's weird how they can find a loophole to where it seems fair, I guess, but the fans know if you're on social media at all, you can see that the fans know what's going on, and it's a shame to see, but that's the way that I don't know how to fix that other than vetting the teams that want to enter the PBA to make sure that their intentions are correct. Because once they're in, and it's really hard to go back and try to say, hey, you can't do this, you can't do that. So I think the expansion last time, which was a few years ago now, that I guess in retrospect, that looks like a mistake.
It didn't work. Yeah, it didn't work. Yeah.
So I don't know how you fix that now that they're already there. So
a couple of things, they really have to look at the salary cap. I think that's something that has to be fixed. That's been thrown out of the window now. I've been talking to some PBA insiders, and I'm being told that the salary cap is almost non-existent. Certain teams have like 10 players who are being paid maximum salary, Eric.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. Like, I'm a realist. I don't like to play make-believe or pretend. And what we've been doing here is pretending that there's certain rules that we're supposed to follow, but teams aren't following, right? So I almost would rather to see if it's just going to be it's just it's a tough situation
Right.
to be in, and certain teams have bigger budgets than other teams, and they're using that to their advantage.
All right, just a couple of things here. You also mentioned in your social media that you believe Mikey Williams is probably the best rookie applicant out there. He should have gone first. Why do you think that way? And secondly, how big of a pickup was this for Talk and Text?
Oh, it was a huge pickup for Talk and Text. They look like that they may have orchestrated a way for him to fall to four. Again, that's just what I've been. That's what people are saying. So.
That's what sister teams are all about.
Exactly. So no, but I've seen Mikey play in ABL a couple of years ago, and he's played for Mighty Sports, and I thought he was the clear #1 pick. I'm not sure how he dropped to even 3. I could see maybe him going 2, but I was very surprised. I shouldn't say I wasn't surprised, but he should have went #1. He should have went #1.
He dropped to 4.
And I would say, like, I don't want to say he's Stanley Pringle-ish. I don't know if he's quite as good as Stanley, but he's in that conversation, I think. So I don't want to put too much pressure on him, but he's a really good player, a good shooter, scorer, strong guard. So I'm looking forward to seeing him play in the PBA whenever that is.
All right. Well, just before I let you go, let me get your thoughts about the NBA. There was a huge frenzy just on trade deadline. What do you think was the most explosive, in fact, maybe most impactful trade that happened in the NBA trade deadline, Eric?
Yeah, I really liked what Chicago did, but I really liked more than that maybe what Denver did by getting Aaron Gordon. He's a guy that maybe his role is a little too far expanded in Orlando, but if you narrow it down a little bit to where, in Denver now he's going to be the 3rd or 4th option, and he's a great defensive player. He's obviously a great athlete. So if he can fit in and play a good role for them, Denver goes from, being a middle, 4th or 5th, 6th seed to maybe now that they can compete if everything's right in the West.
And your MVP at this point of the season?
I was just talking about that this morning. I think, unfortunately there's been some injuries to Embiid and LeBron. I thought LeBron was going to win it, but Embiid was having a great season. But right now, I really think Jokic has to be the front runner. He's number one in the NBA in PER, win shares, value over replacement player. Like he's number 1 in 4 or 5 categories. And he's just doing everything. Like he's having an incredible season. So I don't know how, he's definitely right there at the top if he's not the favorite right now.
Well, the question is about this stage, and I certainly agree. Jokic is a great pick. Of course, Giannis has made a great case as well going back. But again, all of these votes will come down to subjective factors in the end. But Eric, you'll always be an MVP to me. It's always great talking to you. Very few people can, have the guts to talk and give their honest opinion about what's happening. And we're just happy that you are on social media for all of us to hear what you have in mind. Thanks so much, Eric.
Thanks for having me. It was great talking to you this morning.
We'll keep in touch.
Yes, please.
Thank you. That's it, mga kaibigan. Yan po si Major Pain, Eric Menk, mga kaibigan. One of the most, colorful athletes that the PBA has ever seen. A man that really, raised the level of the game in the PBA. And he certainly knows what he's talking about. He's been in the league for so long. Nakita niya ang napakaraming yugto ng PBA. And sana nga, kahit papaano, wag maging balat sibuyas sa mga nagpapatakbo ng ating liga. Alam niyo po, binibigyan natin ng pagkakataon na maayos yung mga mali. At sana naman kahit papaano, mapakinggan ang komentaryo ng mga ordinaryong mga mamamayan. Alright mga kaibigan, we will take a quick break. Magbabalik pa po ang Power and Play hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Timit at ng Cherry Lou. Nagbabalik po ang Power and Play. Balikan muna natin ang best moments sa kasaysayan ng palakasan this week in sports history. March Madness na uli, kaya balikan natin ang kauna-unahang US NCAA Championship game na ginanap noong March 27, 1939. Naku 82 years ago kung saan nagtapat ang Oregon at Ohio State. Ginanap ang laro na yan sa premises ng Northwestern University. Tinambakan ng Oregon ng Ohio State sa score na 46-33. One quarter lang yan ngayon para sungkitin ang kampyonato. First ever NCAA championship this week in sports history. Grabe, ang tagal na yan. Ilang taon? 82 years ago, ha? Parang kasing edad na ng ina ko yan, ha? By the way, happy birthday sa SBP Vice Chairman, ang aking pong kaibigan, dating PBA Marketing Head, at ngayon po Congressman ng Antipolo City, Congressman Robbie Puno. Happy birthday, Kong Robbie. Good, I hope you stay safe and wishing you all the best. Congratulate din po natin ang PSA, ang Philippine Sports Writers Association, sa kanilang awards night. Mamayang gabi, abangan nyo po yan, ang kanilang PSA Awards Night over TV5. At this point, mga kaibigan, recently, nagkaroon po ng announcement ng pagriretiro ng isa sa mga high-flying acts sa PBA. Siya po ang tinaguriang The Rocket at ang isa sa pinaka-colorful na players ng PBA. Atin pong naabutan ang kariretiro pa lamang na The Rocket JC Intal dito po sa panayam na ito. Panoorin po ninyo. Unang tanong ko sa iyo is, was this really the plan to call it quits on your 13th year, JC?
No. Dream ko talaga, my personal goal as a professional basketball player is to reach 15 years. I played for 5 years in Ateneo. Parang gusto ko times 3 yun sa pro kasi hindi ko ma-imagine na hindi ako naglalaro ng basketball. At the same time, yung personal goal ko medyo napaaga. And yun nga po, malaking factor talaga when I went to the PBA bubble. Actually, hindi naman talaga yung PBA bubble experience ko yung deciding factor. Noong time na nandun ako, for almost 2 months, na-miss ko talaga yung family ko every single day. But it was a great experience doon sa bubble. And sayang hindi kami nakabot ng finals.
I guess it's really, it's not so much kung ano yung naranasan mo sa bubble, but I guess it's the influence ng pamilya mo, especially your wife, Bianca, on you.
Yes.
Can you just describe kung gaano kalaki ang role ng pamilya, lalo-lalo na si Bianca, sa iyong napakaraming taon sa PBA?
Yeah, we met in 2012 and nasubaybayan niya yung PBA career ko and nakita niya yung ups and downs ko sa basketball. And yun nga, nung nasa bubble ako, napapag-usapan namin na sabi ko, yun yung mga days na naisip ko na kung itutuloy ko pa ba. Kasi lalo na yung pandemic. Gusto ko na i-clear yung sinabi ko dati na parang hindi na yung na puno yung crowd and syempre safety first. And naging malaking factor din yung age ko. I'm 37 already.
Oo, pero bata pa yan, di ba? Tatanungin ko ngayon, JC, kasi 37 is not young but not old. Alam natin na maraming players na naglalaro pa din. Kaya tanong ko sa'yo, hindi kaya midlife crisis ito, JC?
Hindi naman. And
talagang napag-isipan mo to? I mean, you've consulted the family and the people important to you.
I talked to my wife, Bianca, after the bubble. And certain din yung time ko kaya mag-start yung practice na namin noong January. And Phoenix drafted 5 players. So sabi ko, if I will play, baka hindi na ganun ka rin. Parang in-entertain ko rin sa mind ko na baka hindi na ako makapag-contribute ng mas kasi yung utak ko na shift sa art ng pandemic.
Oo nga eh. Nabalitaan ko nga yan.
Nung buong lockdown, nandun ako sa art studio. Parang yung passion ko, napunta bigla sa art.
Pag-usapan natin yan mamaya. But, just one, out of curiosity, wala ka na expired ng contract with Phoenix. Ganun ba yun?
Yeah. Yes, Tom. My contract expired last December.
Okay.
And
were you in the middle of negotiations nung decide ka na ayaw ka?
Yes. Nakipag-negotiate. Wala po kasi yung manager ever since. So ako nakipag-usap. And then, in December, usap kami. And then January, parang they told me to wait for the draft. And they offered me the PBA 3-on-3. Sabi ko, baka mapass na ako kasi talagang sabi ko baka hindi ko mabigay yung 100% focus ko dun sa training. Kasi yun nga, yung sa pag-uusapan pa natin mamaya sa show po ako na talagang nag-ahabol ako ng deadline din.
Okay. Sige.
Yeah. So factor din. Yeah.
It's interesting na, this decision has been made. Alam natin na at this time, that is a final decision that you've made, and obviously, marami kang kinusulta ng mga malalapit sa'yo, your wife, your family. Pero, hindi kaya, alam natin ngayon, hindi pa siguro yan. No? Pero, few years later, when you look back, ano sa tingin mo mamimiss mo? With this decision, what will you miss most sa paglaro sa PBA?
Actually, last Monday, after I announced my retirement, I asked I even nag-sink in na talaga ako, man. I told my wife, I know pinag-isipan ka mabuti. I consulted you, I consulted my family, my parents, even my best friend Doug Kramer, my best friend J.R. Reyes. Yung nakasama ko ever since high school and college. And sabi ko, I'm sure miss ko basketball. And I have no regrets naman ko. And mag-iiba lang talaga yung routine every day. Imagine for 20 years, I'm practicing every morning, working out in the afternoon. So talagang, I'm happy naman with my decision and no regrets naman po.
Well, sabi mo nga, 20 years, ang tagal, it's been a long time. You started with the Tran, you started with Claret, you went to the Tran.
Yes.
Oh, naglaro. Then, of course, you went to the Ateneo and all the way to the PBA. And when you look back, let's try to see a little bit ng mga ginawa mo. JC, what was, you won your first championship, your first major championship in the UAP back in 2002. That was a historic win, and it stopped, of course, yung Salazar na inahabol nila yung kanilang 5-peak, no? How much of your time with the Blue Eagles played a role in your basketball career?
My 5 years at Ateneo, it gave me so much confidence going to the pros, to the PBA. And nung pumasok ako ng rookie year ko nun sa Ateneo, 2002, wala sa isip ko yung mag-pro. When I felt na parang pwede ko ituloy-tuloy, nung third year college ako, nung junior year ko sa Ateneo, naglaro na ako ng PBL, amateur. I think that was Ateneo Dapat, and then doon ko na-consider na pupukin yung sarili ko talaga na makapag-pro na. And yun yung goal ko nung 5 years ko sa Ateneo. And then sadly, we lost to UST in 2006. But sabi ko, I'm sure may buwelo naman kahit pa before the draft. Kasi even though we lost the championship, sabi ko kay Doug Kramer na kay Escolan, at least kahit pa paano nakita tayo kung paano tayo maglaro, ganyan. So, yeah, malaking tulong talaga yung UAP.
You were UAP first team in 2006 nung natalo ka Ateneo sa UST in a napakasakit na pagkatalo because you won game 1 and then you lost game 2 and in an overtime natalo ang Ateneo sa UST. In what was billed as a huge upset dahil noong panahon na yun, you had a 10-2 record going into the finals. No? So, ang tanong ko, looking back at the championship sa 2002, and then pinag-usapan natin yung playing ng pagkatalo naman in 2006. Saan mas malaking leksyon na nakuha mo or JC? Or were these both experiences na nagbigay sa'yo ng mga lessons na dinala mo sa iyong playing career?
Sir, that game 2006, game 3, overtime, I took the last shot. Right until now, kaya ko pa i-play sa utak ko yung time, kung nasan ako noon, kung sino nakabantay. And nung time na yun, hindi na nawala sa isip ko na parang never be afraid to take crucial shots. And then sa PBA, naging role player ako, nakabayal akong konti sa Inebra, naging role player sa Pure Food, sa BMEG. And sabi ko sa sarili ko, even sa mga kids na na tinuturuan ko dati, sabi ko never be afraid to take it as long as feel mo, ganyan. And wala, talagang kung ano lang yung bigay sa'yo talaga yun lang talaga And then,
well, nakita naman nila kung anong klase kang player. And of course, maraming natuwa sa pagpasok mo sa PBA. And let's talk about your PBA. You were one of the most popular players in the PBA. Lalo na nung tumungtong ka sa Ginebra, you became one of the well-known dunkers in the league. And you basically fit in any role. Yun na kagandahan ng laro mo because you were very athletic, very mobile, and you could play a number of positions. And also, hindi lang yung naging advantage mo, parang naging disadvantage din because you became a favorite trading piece ng mga teams. No? Because paborito ka and you could fit any role. Do you think na kahit paano, that's stymied a little bit yung growth mo sa PBA, JC?
When I entered the PBA po kasi, nung year 21 ako, hindi ko natapos yung first year ko na I had a skin condition and I thought hindi na makapaguloy ng basketball. And then after a few conferences, I got traded to Ginebra. When that time pala, Mark Toniwo was injured, JJ was injured, even Eric Major. So sabi ko, ito na yung chance ko makapagpakita. So nabigyan ako ng big role ni Coach Jong nun, alongside ko na tubig. And then, umabot kami semis, finals, talo kami twice ng finals. And then I got traded to BMEG, Pure Foods, under Coach Tim Cone. Sabi ko, told my wife, okay na rin pala, nakakakuha ko ng championship dito sa BMEG. Kasi hindi mo alam sa PBA, unpredictable. Hindi mo masabi eh. Hindi mo masabi kung kailan ka mag-champion.
Alam mo, I remember very vividly yung 2012 championship ninyo with BMEG. I was there. I saw, of course, alam natin yung nangyari kay Denzel Bose.
Yes,
This na ginawa, nangyari kay Talk and Text, no, at that time. And, you know, a miraculous comeback for BMEG, winning that one. And I remember it vividly dahil ikaw, napatakbo ka sa stands during the time to go to Bianca. At that time, who wasn't then. And it was just a very poignant moment. How big or how does that rank among all the highlights sa iyong career, JC? Yung 2012 championship sa PBA, your one and only championship.
One and only. One and only. Alam kasi ni Bianca yung story nung mag-boyfriend-girlfriend pa lang kami. Sabi ko, nakakuha na ako ng championship sa Letran. Ano yun after 14 years, nanalo kami na JRAS, RJ Azul, Ray Guevara sa Letran. So, college naman, rookie year ko sa Ateneo, nakakuha na akong championship. Talo kami ng FU ng finals, USC ng finals, so sana 3. And then sabi ko, PBA, talo kami sa Ginebra finals twice. Air 21 rookie year against Ginebra, talo kami game 7. So, kaya siguro ko napatakbo sa kanya, alam niya yung story na gustong-gusto ko makakuha ng championship sa PBA ko. And yun makapagkumpleto din kasi high school, college, and sa pro, hindi mo alam talaga eh. Unless, siguro kung position mo pa ito, parang,
nung panahon na yun, talaga naman makikita mo yung diktigan, yung laban. There was not a very clear-cut contender o sino yung talagang lamang na lamang ng mga panahon na yun. But again, you've been handled by so many coaches. Nabanggit mo nga si Coach Jong, Coach Tim, you were under Coach Joel, you were under so many other great coaches, Norman Black, yes, absolutely. And sino ang may biggest influence sa'yo, JC, in your career from the time you started playing hanggang ngayon na nag-retiro ka na?
It's Coach Norman. He's my second father. He was my second father in Ateneo. Tinutulong ko lang mag-prepare na for the pros no final year ko. And yeah, he's my ninong also sa kasal. He even went to El Nido pa when he attended our wedding. So he talaga nandun siya for me kahit na hindi ako nakapaglaro sa kanya under him sa PBA, and how I wish na paglaro sa kanya, but yun lang, walang chance. And yeah, it's Coach Norman.
What kind of lesson natutunan mo kay Norman, kay Coach Norman, JC?
Kasi si Coach Norman, titingnan lang ako nun sa games, UAP, alam ko na nagalit siya eh. Alam ko na yung tingin niya na, alam ko kailangan kong dumipensa, kailangan kong diinan pa pag-drive. Alam ko yung tinginan namin before, and nadala ko yun sa pro kasi nagkaroon ako ng maraming coaches sa PBA and iba-ibang approach. So talagang wini-wish ko nakapaglaro ako under him. But yun, minsan nag-text ako sa kanya nung nasa PBA ako. And yeah.
Siya ba, nasabihin mo ba siya just before you decided to retire?
No. I included in my my long caption on social media.
Has he reached out to you after your announcement, JC?
No, wala.
Hindi pa naman. But I'm sure he is also wishing you all the best. That's the decision mong yan. But you know, you played with so many players sa UAAP and of course in the PBA. Is there any particular player that you really, really enjoyed playing with?
Of course, it's my buddy Doug Kramer. Sabay kami pumasok sa PBA ng rookie year 21, and then sabay kami nag-retire siya, teammates kami nung college. Me and JRAS, sabay kami nag-retire na rin. I think he'll announce his retirement na rin soon.
Barang talaga, ha? Wow, kasi sabay-sabay pa. Okay, and in terms of mga player naman na natuto ka, players that you've learned from, obviously may mga mas matatanda ka na kalaro. Is there any particular player na talagang, malaking naging ambag sa, not only as a player but also as a person para sa
growing up kasi ako, when I was in grade 7, first year high school, I was watching, I'm a big fan of Daddy Seagull. After ko kasama sa championship ng BMEG team in 2012, I got traded to Barako Bull, and he was there. Sabi ko, to be honest, masama yung loob ko na na-trade ako from a championship team. And nakasama ko si Danny Seagal noong time na yun. Doon ako, like, doon ko na-feel na kung yung happiest years ko rin sa Barako Bull. Parang kaming, like, even if hindi kami nakapasok ng semis or finals, doon ako nag-enjoy talaga yung veteran leadership ni Danny Seagal. Ang dami kong every single day. Every single day sa practices, pinapanood ko lang yung ginagawa niya. For me, hindi niya alam yun eh. Pero ito yung first day pa nag-meet kami, sabi ko, Danny, you're my idol ever since. And ayaw na maniwala.
Well, I'm sure the mentor is very proud of the student, and especially now na nag-retiro ka na. Of course, as I mentioned kanina, ang dami mong roles na nilaruan. You were, kaya nga, paborito ka na i-trade because you could fit any kind of team and you could defend as well. Pag pinag-usapan ng depensa, JC, who was the most difficult player naman na you defended or you played against na talagang mukhang parang hirap ka na kaya nito?
My role, when I got traded to Pure Foods to BMEG, Coach Tim pinasa sa akin ng mga imports doon. So for me, lahat ng imports na nabantayan ko noon, mga 6'4", 6'5". Hirap talaga. Pinoy, it's Marco Gio and JJ at their brand.
Really?
During my Endeavor days, I got to guard them. Even James, sakit sa ulo. Sakit sa ulo ba tayo?
At hanggang ngayon, nagpapasakit pa rin ng ulo sa
even James, yeah.
All right. You mentioned also in some of your interviews na isa sa pinakamataas na point ng iyong career was joining the national team back in 2015 sa FIBA Asia Cup sa Changsha. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience and gaano kalaking impact yan in terms of, how you see your career now as a complete basketball player?
That's the ultimate parang dream ko makapag-go sa national team. Nung time na nasa Ateneo, napapanood ko yung mga national team players na sa Mauro Lorenzo and Ateneo, they were practicing before us. And sabi ko, sana one day makapaglaro ko din. During my time in Barako Bull, Coach Tab talked to me. Sabi niya, if you're interested, you join our practices. So, kinilabutan ako ng after game, Barako Bull versus Talk and Text. Kinantay niya ako doon sa may cross doon sa Araneta Coliseum. Hindi ako yung makapaniwala na kinuha na ako, and ang daming nagtataka din, ba't ako napunta doon. And yung time rin naman star players, superstars ng PBA na nag-back out for personal reasons. Siguro issues. Siguro may mga family personal matters. And sabi ko, right timing na rin na makapaglaro din. And yung experience ni siya, even though medyo luto talaga, actually sobrang luto. Sobrang memorable experience kasi nakakuha ng silver medal doon, even sa Jones Cup, we played against Iran, the mighty China. So, yeah, sobrang proud ako sa team na yun kasi hindi siya superstars sa team, pero lumaban talaga.
Well, again, sabi nga natin, your career has gone full circle talagang, and as you said, that was a highlight ng basketball career mo. And again, JC, sa dami na nagawa mo, awards from collegiate league all the way to the PBA. Is there still anything na kulang doon sa resume mo? Is there something that you still thought you could have done, but maybe it's time to let go?
I told my wife na ko sana before man na ako nag-retire, nakapag-ulit ako sa PBA Finals. But we were one game away ng PBA Bumble. It was the do-or-die game din against the Perfects. Pero talagang wala, hindi ako.
At least you have a champion.
Yeah.
Maraming players na hindi makakapagsabing na kapag nanalo sila ng kampeonato, even at your level, yung superstar level. JC, moving forward, You were talking about your art. Can you tell us about that? Kasi ako, I'm really interested. No? Paano mo simulan yan? At anong klaseng art ang ginagawa mo ngayon, JC?
Before I started playing basketball, nung grade school and high school, ako sumasali ako sa mga painting contests. At school, art contest. So, na-shift yung focus ko lang when I joined the varsity team and I tried out for basketball. Nawala na, as in, wala na akong art. But nung pumasok sa Ateneo, may mga art class noon, mga elective. So, paint, minsan, nagiging hobby siya. And a few years back, in 2018, I met this guy. He's my naging mentor ko. He's my idol sa art world. His name is Jigger Cruz. Noong time na hindi ko alam na artist siya. And I met him kasi nagmo-motorcycle ako a few years back. And then, pumunta ako sa bahay niya, meron siyang art studio sa likod. So, doon ulit bumalik sa akin na ba't hindi ko i-try. And then, after basketball, after training, paint ako sa bahay din. Fast forward, nagkaroon po ako ng art show last Feb before the pandemic. So, sobrang timing din, sobrang laking blessing kasi naging successful siya. Tapos, nag-pandemic. And then, nag-lockdown. And then, bubble. So, nung wala kaming training, wala kaming practices, nagka-paint na ako. Ilang yung naging,
Were you able to paint during the bubble? Sa loob ng bubble?
No, hindi na.
Hindi ka nagpe-painting doon. Alright. Bakit art? Bakit painting, JJ? Ang layo sa basketball, di ba? When you look at it, yung contrast, yung so much energy, so much action in basketball, in sports, and then you shift to art na napakakalmado, napakatahimik, napaka-solitary. Why the sudden change?
Actually marami talaga nagulat na parang, iba, may ibang matatari sa art, dami nakaka-appreciate, and dami hindi nakaka-appreciate. But sabi ko nga kay Bianca, when I hold the basketball, yun yung feeling ko pag hawak ko ng palette knife and brush. Parang same yung passion ko sa basketball, same dun sa art. Pareho ko. So, sabi ko, tuloy-tuloy ko na lang din kasi doon ako nag-enjoy. Ayoko, like, pumasok sa isang bagay na hindi ako nag-enjoy na hindi ko rin mabibigay yung 100% ko. Yeah.
So, anong favorite subject mo to paint?
Ako abstract. I love thick oil paints, action painting. So, expressionism. Yeah.
Are you having another show sa...
Yes, ako. This April, merong Art Fair Philippines, and then after April, baka May po, meron akong second solo show sa J Studio in Makati. So,
wow, puntahan ninyo mga kaibigan, JC Intal, ang kanyang solo show. Naku, ako siguro mapapapasyal din. Dapat makakuha ko ng isang painting mo. Hira yun. Na makakuha ng isang painting from a basketball player. I know, before I let you go, JC, I know you have two lovely girls. Sila ba, if ever they decide, and they ask you that, can I become an athlete or can I become an artist? Anong mas marirecommend mo sa kanila?
Ako, ready. As long as, yun nga, so if they're passionate about it, I will support them all the way. And kahit anong gusto nilang gawin sa buhay nila, support lang kami ni Bianca. And habang lumabilis sila lumaki, mag-guide lang kami sa kanila. And yung isa pa, yun talaga, yung family time ko sa kanila, mas malalaligan na.
Of course, and I'm sure they're the happiest of all. Kasama ka nila ngayon, and Papa will be with them the rest of the way. Yan po mga kaibigan, ang partner natin kay JC Intal. Congratulations, JC. And we wish you all the best sa iyong bagong career, bagong passion, yung art din, of course, sa kanyang pagre-retiro mula sa basketball. Sabi nga pala niya, at the very end, sabi niya, final na. Hindi na siya babalik sa PBA. Hindi na siya tuloy maglalaro. Kasi may mga lumalabas na retirement, di ba? At this point, point, mga kaibigan, gusto natin magpasalamat sa lahat po ng ating mga sponsors. Una sa listahan, Big Boss Cement, Big Boss na tatak, Big Boss na tibay, nandito na Big Boss Cement. Di basta matitibag, approved sa kalikasan at sobrang abot kaya. Big Boss Cement is the first eco-friendly cement company in the Philippines. First and only cement that is produced with low to 0% of high carbon footprint materials. Big Boss Cement, Big Boss at Tatag, Big Boss at Tibay. Maraming po salamat kay Engineer Gilbert Cruz at sa buong staff ng Big Boss Cement. Maraming din po salamat sa Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum. Sa ganitong pabago-bago ang panahon, mga kapatid, sobrang init tapos biglang ulan, kailangan natin ng matibay at protektadong bubong. Dapat ang bubong ay yerong may aluminum. Kapag may aluminum, tsak na pang matagalan. At isa na ang alam kong ikalidad na yerong may aluminum, yan ang Cherry Loom. Tibay protektado sa pang matagalang yero. Cherry Loom, ang yerong may aluminum. Maraming po salamat sa ating kaibigan si paring Elmer Ngo ng Cherry Loom. Maraming po salamat sa Elms Resto Bar Group, home of fried itik, na meron pong branches sa Elms Tapas and Winery located sa Cali Bistro, Commonwealth, Quezon City, at sa Elms Grill and Bar sa Poblacion, Makati. You may call mobile number 0977-157-0499 or visit their Facebook and IG pages at Elms Resto Bar Group for reservations and inquiries. Maraming din po salamat, of course, sa Joyride, ang bago ninyong kasundo. Dahil araw naming nahihirapan ka, book Joyride Motorcycle Taxi now and experience hassle-free commute. Kapag delivery naman, Joyride ang gamitin, bagsak presyo pero hindi ang serbisyo. Joyride is now on its lowest rates ever. Available na rin po ang Joyride sa lalawigan ng Laguna. Download the latest Joyride and Happy Move app. Thank you also to Makisagot Professional, your School of Makeup Artistry, the official makeup of Power and Play. And of course, finally, maraming po salamat sa Skin, your face and body anti-aging center, with branches at Wilson Street sa San Juan City at sa Alabang Town Center sa Muntinlupa City. We provide Indiba tissue regeneration procedure, mesotherapy, Maximus Tri-Lipo, and many more to take care of your body needs. For inquiries, please call 0917-890-1640. Maraming salamat po sa lahat ng mga tagapagtaguyod ng Power and Play. We will have a quick break sa aming pong pagbabalik. Meggie Ochoa at si Coach Tab Baldwin sa Power and Play. Hatid sa inyo ng Big Boss Cement at ng Cherry Loom. alam naman po natin ang Gilas Pilipinas patuloy na nasa isang training bubble dyan po sa Calamba, yung sa Inspire Academy. Kagabi po, naabutan natin ang SVP Program Director at pinag-usapan niya ang mga kaganapan and of course mga plano ng SVP. Ito po ang ating panayam with Coach Tab Baldwin. Panoorin po ninyo to. This is a young group that you have with you compared to what you had in the past. And first of all, the question is, what ultimately became the reason for an all-cadets pool? What was the decision? Walk us through the process between the SVP and the PBA in deciding finally, let's just do an all-cadets pool in the meantime.
Well, I just comment on the beginning of your question. I feel personally like the older I get, the younger players I seem to be getting in my career. And I remember when I was a young coach and I went to New Zealand, I was coaching guys older than me. So, you know, somehow this circle of life it's full of irony. No, look, you know, everybody is trying to do a balancing act, much like people are trying to do in their daily lives, common people out there. And the SVP, the PBA, FIBA as well, everybody's trying to balance a lot of different variables that we can't seem to get a grasp on. You know, at one time we're going to have a bubble competition, a FIBA tournament, and we have PBA players available, and you know, and so we prepare, we build, and then that gets canceled, and then the PBA they want to run their business too,
right?
So they're busy trying to run their schedule, and even they are having a hard time because of the shifting sands that we're all living on. So always in the background is the decision that was made, you know, some probably 3 years ago now, to develop a cadet national team that would become a senior national team with a lot of training together. And that's a slow process because we're building it through the draft. And, you know, the last 2 drafts haven't been, you know, as talent laden as we had hoped, or, you know, and you can't control that either. Who decides to come out, who decides to make themselves available for the Gilas pool. But, you know, we've, on the other hand, we've been sort of gifted through the pandemic the opportunity to get access to the top college players because they can't train. So it's really, you know, a rainbow of issues. And, you know, I got to give Ryan Gregorio a lot of credit because he's been working in the background, talking to the university, talking to the PBA. Boss Al Panlilio also is, you know, in the background, and they're doing all of these deals with all of these entities, and no sooner do they get one deal done for a bubble and a prospective competition, then the competition disappears again. So we leave the bubble with all of that work, but I'm not going to say it's wasted because these are young players. Right. So all of this is development for their future, but we do need games.
Well, I was going to get to that, although, you know, before I get to that, you know, you're talking about there really is no waste in what you've done. But do you think that there, you know, the lack of the absence of the pros is a quote-unquote setback to the program, or do you really think that, you know, this is really more of a serendipitous occurrence, you know, that you have an opportunity to, as you said in one of your interviews, bring in the prospects and really hasten the learning process?
And that's exactly what we're trying to do now. You know, that we brought in all the players that we believe are serious candidates for future Gilas teams. And that future might come very quickly. It might come in June. We might roll out a team that has teenagers in it. And that's very, very possible. So, you know, the future can be now for some of these kids. And then we've brought in other players that we think are potential prospects, but they would be, excuse overusing the term, but they would be on the bubble of selection even into the pool. But we need them for the numbers to make our trainings wholesome. You know, we need enough players to run through the training. So, you know, we have brought in extra players. So to get back to the other part of your question, not having the players is a setback. Not having the PBA players, every time that happens, that is a setback for the Gilas program, because ultimately we always hope we're going to get an injection of talent, and very often we do, but we don't always need them for the extensive training that we're doing in the bubble. So, we don't look at it as a setback. We look at it as an opportunity to focus on these younger players, to build them for the future. And then we hope that the PBA calendar allows us significant access to the PBA players when they are allowed to come in. So it's not, 3 or 4 days or a week before the competition. We need something more significant than that.
Yeah.
And we just have to every time play that by ear and appreciate what the PBA is trying to do as well. As long as we have mutual appreciation for one another's businesses, then I think we're going to be fine.
Well, it is a slippery slope, a difficult balance, obviously. And then put that in the perspective of a pandemic that, you don't know the plans, shifting plans and the changing conditions. Are you right where you want to be with the program, Coach Tab? We know that the pandemic has delayed a lot of things, but at the same time, it has also hastened the opportunity to bring in the building blocks of this program for you. So are you comfortable? Are you right on your timetable as you build, I know, of course, for 2023?
Not at all. Not at all. But you can't point a finger at anybody. There's nobody out there that you can say it's their fault or it's their fault. We just live in a world now where the best laid plans of mice and men are going awry, and they're going awry on a regular basis. And so now it's more about having a dedicated management with Boss Al Panlilio and Boss Sonny Barrios and Ryan Gregorio, that they're dedicated to being able to dance, if I can use that term. And the reason I say dance is because you just never know what the next challenge is going to be because of these shifting sands. And, the frustration is oftentimes huge. And, we want to have this set of conditions, and we can't get it for one reason or another. We want to have that group of players. We can't get them for one reason or another. But I don't have anything but praise for all of the parties that are, trying to wrestle with all of these, obstacles and problems, and their willingness to work with me, to work with one another, to just try and solve problems. But unfortunately, there are a lot of problems that aren't getting solved. I mean the Kaiso thing is another example. In and out, and can we get it back? And that's another organization that is trying to wrestle with their own goals as well. Right. And of course, in the background, there's always the fans who want the best team out there. So, everybody right now is having to bite the bullet, and it's tough, and there is no perfect pathway. We're just trying to find the best one that we can in each, period.
Yeah. Well, outside of the personnel, outside of the tools that you are given, there is that issue, and you mentioned it a while ago, of a lack of competition, a lack of games for your team. What are the plans, Coach Tab, for Gilas in that regard?
Again, I have to go back. This word plans is just like, it's a dream now, We should be saying, what are your fantasies instead of what are your plans?
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
We can't seem to bring our plans to fruition. We had planned at the end of this bubble initially to go down to Australia and possibly New Zealand and get games against pro teams down there as preparation for the June calendar. And that was after the PBA had made a kind offer for us to be able to participate as a guest team in the entire PBA. And then Australia closed its borders, so we went back to the PBA, sort of cap in hand, begging, saying, it's late, can we get back in? And they were willing to help us again. And then, of course, then the PBA gets delayed. So, the difficulty is, it's not that we don't have the resources, we don't have the connections to organize games. It's just you can't get in anywhere right now. Europe is closed, Australia is closed. you can get into the States, but who are you going to play in the States? Like, one of my conditions is that we need to play real teams. We don't need to play composite all-star teams that are pulled together at the last minute, because that's not going to prepare us to go up against a Korean team that is well-trained, a Dominican Republic team that is well-trained, a Serbian team that is, very well-trained and plays like a team. If we go and play these all-star composite teams, which is all that's available in the U.S., I think it's actually going to be detrimental to our development.
Mm-hmm.
So we just have to bite the bullet again and keep hoping and waiting for windows to open. And I guess the big one now is we're just praying along with the PBA that we can find a calendar for the PBA, and hopefully we can use games against PBA teams as development.
Well, even that is up in the air. Up to now, the plans of the PBA continue to be very fluid. Nothing has been certain, and certainly many people are still working on that. You were talking about very possibly this young team could be already competing in June, and obviously this is the cadets team being put immediately to the test. But those are the short-term goals. For that. We know that our long-term goals include our hosting of the 2023 World Cup. How much of this pool do you think will be involved for those long-term goals?
Again, it's difficult to say. I think we have 5, 6, 7 players here who right now project to be talented enough and smart enough. And I'm just pulling that number out of the air. I didn't really sit down and think about the answer to that question. But I think most of them, are even longer term. And I remember sitting in Boss MVP's office when we were conceptualizing this program probably more than 3 years ago. And we were talking about 2023 and the hosting rights, and MVP was saying, how strong a team can we put together? And we said, well, with Kai Soto and AJ Edu and the age they will be in, and, some very, very good players we have coming through, we think we can have a pretty strong team. And when we started to put it on paper, MVP, who was very sagely gentleman, he looked up at the board and he turned to me and he said, we're really talking about 2027 here, aren't we? I said, Boss, you know what? If you want to talk about having a world-class team that, competes to get into the final 8 and maybe into the medal round, yeah, you're probably right. And 2023, we will have a fight to get into that second round. And then who knows? We'll play that game, the sort of let's get an advancement, let's win some games. Maybe the team matures in the process and has the ability to stand up to tougher competition. I've seen that happen. I've been a part of that.
Oh, yes. Yeah. With New Zealand.
Right. So I know that it can happen, but it is still, the dark horse. And we still have to recognize that. But I think if we stay the course and we have all of this talent and we continue to nurture this talent and demand from this talent excellence, then I think somewhere down the track we can be a competitive top 10 team in the world.
Yeah.
Even if we don't get our rankings that high, I think we can be on that level. And I think that's a very worthy goal for this program.
It's giving me goosebumps just thinking about, the scenario that you're painting, getting to the second round, and who knows what happens, especially with the crowd support, playing in the Philippine arena, or assuming there are fans in 2023. Again, that's another thing, another fantasy, as you call it, Coach Tab. But everybody's making all these sacrifices, Tab, and we know that you've talked about, the real prospects here, Kai, AJ, Edu, all of the other names that you're molding, you're cultivating, you're nurturing. Let me talk about Kai just for a very quickly. He was in the bubble. He was with you training, and of course, we know what happened there. That all that. I guess let's just call it, for lack of a really tight term, a fiasco. But do you think it was a mistake for Kai to have gone to the bubble, given the opportunities that he had at the time?
Look, if we look at everything in hindsight, then, we can make a lot better decisions, all of us. And, Kai, if the opportunity came to look at it in hindsight, he may look at it differently. But having had those few days with Kai and seeing the kid back around his friends, back in his Filipino skin, immensely enjoying not the training so much, not the coaching so much, but enjoying the fellowship with his boyhood friends and seeing their development in basketball and them seeing his development in basketball. I think that's invaluable. I think it's invaluable for him. There's a lot of mystery around what happened with Kai and Ignite and the G League scenario, and I don't know the answers, all of that.
Right.
I don't know whether he had a genuine role in that team or whether he was going to be, a part-time player and get minutes where he could. So without knowing that, it's very harsh to judge his decision as right or wrong. Now, if you knew the answer to all of that, you could make obviously a better assessment. So I can only look at what I saw. And I saw Kai enjoying himself. I saw Kai proud to pull on, even though it was a practice uniform, proud to pull on a Filipino uniform. I saw him impressed in practice, and I saw how he felt. And I talked to him about it. I said, how do you feel about being one of the best players out on the court? You're only 18. And he said, Coach, it's a great feeling to be able to think that I can come back and contribute to the Gilas team. That I'm not just an 18-year-old who somewhere in the future might play. So I believe that what happened for him, whether there was something better or not, I don't know. But I believe that what happened for him was positive. And it was certainly positive for our bubble.
Given that, are there plans to bring back Kai immediately for the OQT or the FIBA Asia Cup for, this year?
Well, he has a willingness to come. And so I guess maybe that I'm the problem now, if you will, because my stance is the stance of a coach. And as a coach, I'm developing a team. And so to be part of that team, you have to be integrated into that team. And to be integrated into that team, you have to train with them. So, I have some conditions that say that if Kai comes back and plays for the team and doesn't train with us, I think he's going to go out on the court and look bad.
Right.
And I don't think that's fair to him. And I don't think that's fair to his prospects, because nobody should kid themselves. NBA coaches are watching everything that Kai does. And if he comes back here and plays, they're going to watch. They're going to see how he performs against Korea in the next level of the OQT. And for Kai to have the best experience here, he needs to be part of the training for, I would say no less than 3 weeks. So, this is a condition. And I'm not saying it is 3 weeks. It might be 4. It might be 2. And we have to continue to talk to Kai and his people, see what his schedule looks like, and find the best solution. But it really genuinely needs to be the best solution for Kai as a basketball player and for the team.
All right.
And that's the other side of it. He has to be integrated into the team, or else he's going to detract from their performance if he doesn't know the systems we're running. It's a long-winded explanation, but I think...
No, but it's clear. It's very clear, and I totally agree with you. I think in the end, it's still a team sport. It's still a team game, and in the end, as you've always said, it's not about who's the best player out there, but it's the best team that will play in the competitions that we represent. And talking about that, you've got 4 new guys that came from the special Gilas draft. And of course, you've got Ange Kwame, who is just about ready to play for Gilas as well. Just a signature is left before he's officially a naturalized player, or citizen rather. Can you tell us about the progress of Jordan Heading, Chati Rangel, of course, JD Tungkap and Will Navarro, as well as the role that you envision for Ange Kwame?
Yeah, Noli, I think this is an under-publicized issue that you're talking about. So the first, I'll talk about the 4 guys. They're doing a really good job. They had a lot to learn, except for Will, who had been part of the previous bubbles. JD a little bit in the previous bubble too, but it is a process for them. And all I can say is they've come in, their work ethic is exemplary. They are getting better. Jordan is a talent, no question about that. Will, with his comfort with what we're doing, is an immediate contributor. JD has come in really, really good shape. We're all really impressed with JD's athleticism. And so he's fitting in and contributing. And he has a future because of the athlete and the size that he is at a point guard, combo guard position. Chadi Rangel was probably the outlier of the group that we brought in. And I brought Chadi in for very specific reasons. He's got a great work ethic. He's an extremely tough guy. But he's raw, talent-wise. But he has brought something into the bubble that really we had in the last bubble through Raul Soyud. He's brought in a banger's presence. He's brought in a real tough guy presence. Mm-hmm. And, you know, Chadi hasn't had much opportunity at NU and much opportunity at Alab. He played behind other players. So he's come in here to prove something. And, you know, what he might lack in efficiency, he's contributing in effort. And again, it's a process. And we're just real happy with all of them. Now with Anj, you ask about his role. Right. I just want everybody, when they think about a national team, to stop for a second. And I don't think this has always been done. And I want them to think rationally. Who do most coaches, when they look at assembling their national team, who do they select? Well, you can go to an all-star team. Say we could take any PBA player we wanted. We'd take the Roger Pogoys, we'd take the Paul Lees, we'd take the CJ Perez's, we'd take the Junmar Fajardos. All of them are very, very productive offensive players. Now, they may be good defensive players in their own right, but all of them are sort of the stars of the offensive game, and they are our best players. Why then, in selecting a naturalized player, would we bring in a player who we need to put the ball in his hands all the time? If you understand my point.
Right, okay.
Why wouldn't we bring in a guy who's a great rebounder, a great rim protector, and becomes a defensive stalwart to play behind these excellent offensive players who are anywhere from good, or I should say mediocre, to good defensive players? Some of them can become very good, but they're really out there because they're good with the ball in their hand. They're good at executing offenses. Why would we bring in another guy who needs to dominate the basketball when you bring him in? I didn't see any sense in that. Yeah. So my assembly of potential naturalized players includes guys that we believe in as great rebounders, great locker room players, great rim protectors, and guys that will play with a lot of energy and be great teammates. I think Anj Kouame fits all of that, especially in the future.
I am totally sold. You know, I've seen Anj produce without having the ball in his hands. And that's something that I really enjoy with him when he was playing with the Ateneo, of course. And now I believe that is something that clearly the Gilas national team will be able to benefit from. You know, we're running out of time here, Coach Tab, but let me just ask, you know, one very, you know, a question that has been, of course, being asked by many. First is, who will be, have you decided on a coach for the team moving forward? And of course, when will this bubble end? What are the plans for you? When do you end and when do you restart again, moving to the qualifiers?
Well, the plan is to end April 15th in this bubble. And, you know, we were going to kind of dovetail that into the PBA or an overseas venture for the rest of April and a part of May, and then come back and probably go in another bubble to do the final preparations for June. So again, that's all thrown out of whack now. And so we are talking about what we're going to do post this bubble. And I guess maybe our current best plan, which is like plan F, if you had A, B, C, D, and E, is take a break, stay on the guys, make sure they don't get out of shape or anything else like that. Maybe it's a 7-10 day break, and then maybe come back in the bubble again and get back to work.
Yeah.
In regards to the coaching position, let's just say we're all contributing at this point, and I'm telling the coaches that they all should be ready to be head coaches, and at some point I'll sit down with bosses, and we will make a decision on that, and we don't have any problem rotating that around. We think it's good for the players. You know, we think it's very good for the coaches to get head coaching experience. And you know, ultimately, when we know what our competitions are going to be, then we'll make a decision.
Excellent. Yan po mga kaibigan ang ating panayam with SVP Program Director Tab Baldwin. At ang dami niya nasabi, no? From about the program, and we certainly wish na yung mga bata, yung mga naglaro po dun sa loob ng bubble ay maging malusog at hindi po magka-problema. They're really giving all they've got, yung sakripisyo po binibigay nila para sa ating national team. At this point, mga kaibigan, hindi na tayo magpapatumpik-tumpik pa. Diretso na kagad tayo. Ang ating po susunod mga kausap ay ang Southeast Asian Games Gold Medalist sa Jiu-Jitsu noong 2019. But more importantly, she is a woman that has been fighting for sports and fighting for kids. Walang iba kundi ang very, very empowered woman sa buwan ng International Women's Month. Ito po ang aming panayam with Meggie Ochoa, our gold medalist sa Jiu-Jitsu. Tingin ko muna ang Jiu-Jitsu. How is the sport? How is the national team? Are you getting any opportunity at all na magkasama-sama at makapag-ensayo?
Sa ngayon po, especially right now, wala pa po kaming yung training na in-person. Sa ngayon, we're back to online training po. For a time, we were able to go to the gym and do strength and conditioning. Minsan nakakasabay din yung iba, pero lumipat na po ulit kami sa online dahil nga po dumadami na naman po yung cases. So wala pa pong nako-conduct na in-person na actual jiu-jitsu training, more on weights po, tsaka strength and conditioning.
Ang hirap kasi in the sport of jiu-jitsu, marami ang actual close range na hawakan, di ba? Grappling at yung paghila. So, do you foresee na ang jiu-jitsu makakabalik in the midst of all of these cases sa pandemic? At if ever, ano kaya ang solusyon dyan? Is it really just the vaccine na magiging solusyon?
I think makakabalik naman po. It's just a question of when. Hindi po natin alam kung kailan, pero ang alam ko po yung sport po namin ay very flexible. Nag-a-adjust po yan sa mga sitwasyon. So, I wouldn't be surprised kung may mahanap po na solution in the future. Pero for now, I think yes, the vaccines would be a good thing. I think it would definitely minimize the risks kung nais po namin mag-train together again na contact sport. But we will see po. Ang alam ko rin po, may pinaplano pong something like a bubble training po.
Nice.
For the national team po. Pero wala pa pong anything set in stone.
Well, of course, ang IATF hindi pa rin pinahihintulutan ang contact sport. Kaya naman, and of course, amateur sports. No? So talagang napakahirap ng sitwasyon ng ating mga national athletes. Talking about our national athletes, alam natin na walang jiu-jitsu sa Olympics. Pero sa Southeast Asian Games, ito ay very much a part of. And ano pa ang plano ng jiu-jitsu ng Federation in terms of preparing for the Southeast Asian Games this year?
Ayun na nga po, there are talks of having a bubble training pero wala pa rin pong concrete plans for now. So hindi ko pa rin po pwedeng mapag-usapan yon. But yes, definitely Jiu-Jitsu is going to be part of SEA Games. And magpapadala po tayo ng mga atleta doon. Ako po, hindi ko pa po alam kung nasa lineup ako dahil magkakaroon pa po kami ng playoffs. So kailangan namin ipaglaban po yung slot. Kasi po, ang alam ko po, 6 athletes lang po dahil there are only 6 weight classes both in the male and female. May 2 females and 4 males po who will be going.
But ikaw, you are still very active in the sport, Meggie.
Well, I am training with what I can, with the movements I can do here at home. And then, syempre po, araw-araw din po akong nag-strength and conditioning.
Wala bang parang yung ginagawa ni James De Los Santos sa Jiu-Jitsu na or online, virtual na Jiu-Jitsu na you're only judged based on movement? Meron bang ganyan na nangyari sa pandemya?
Actually, meron po. Right now, ongoing po, yung International Federation po namin, may hinold sila na e-duo tournament. So, duo is another form of jiu-jitsu. Hindi po siya yung ginagawa ko na discipline. So, may iba't ibang disiplina po sa loob ng jiu-jitsu. Yung ginagawa ko po na disiplina is in Niwaza. Yung duo po, yun po yung mas nakafocus po siya sa forms. Pero by partner pa rin po siya. So, kahit paano, contact pa rin siya. So, tayo bilang Pilipinas, hindi pa rin po nakapag-participate doon.
Grabe. Ang hirap talaga, no? Pero, well, ating ipapanalangin na sana nga masimulan na yan because Jiu-Jitsu has been a rich source also of medals para sa ating bansa. You know, talking about the pandemic, alam ko, Meggie, that you have been very, very active, not on the mat, but obviously out of the mat, and marami kang nagawa. You have been branded as one of those women athletes na talagang napakalakas ang boses pagdating sa mga social issues. And one of these, of course, is the raising awareness for the social problem of increasing online sexual exploitation of children. Nagkaroon ka ng programa called Project SAFE, S-A-F-E, noong panahon ng pandemya. Can you tell us a little bit about that, Meggie? How has it affected the yung awareness ng mga tao sa OSEC?
Okay po. So yung Project Safe po, actually, project po yan ng Nazarene Compassionate Ministries. So kaya po SAFE kasi po ibig sabihin ay support and awareness to fight exploitation. Kasi nung dati po talagang napakarami pong apektado ng pagla-lockdown natin, nung ECQ pa po. So, maraming nawala ng trabaho and all that na kailangan na rin naman talagang gawin at that time. So, yung Project Safe po, nag-provide po siya ng immediate needs ng communities that are vulnerable to online sexual exploitation. Ito po yung kung saan po yung may mga naganap na rescues ng nakaraan. Pero hindi lang naman po ang pinrovide ay material needs, but also equipping the communities with the knowledge and awareness on the actual issue na ito po ay isang krimen, na anong consequences na pwedeng mangyari para talagang maging mulat po yung nandun po sa mga komunidad. At ang maganda naman pong nangyari, yung dun po sa communities kung saan po nag-raise ng awareness, may nag-raise po ng mga youth advocates in the areas na sila po yung magpapatuloy po ng laban. So, hindi lang naman po ako yung gumawa nun. Ang Nazarene Compassionate Ministries po yung isang partner po ng Fight to Protect. Talagang project po nila yon. At kami po, tinulungan namin sila mag-raise ng funds tsaka makapag-abot pa ng wider audience po in terms of raising awareness on the issue.
Nakakatuwa yung nabasa ko na meron kayo tinatawag na workout fundraiser. Ano ba yun? Paano yun? Just for people to understand kung ano yung mga programang ginagawa mo, Meggie. Ano yung workout fundraiser?
Yung ginawa po naming event, actually in-organize ko po ito kasama ng mga batchmates ko po nun sa Poveda, yung kung saan ako nag-high school, grade school at kinder. At kasama din po ng mga iba't ibang partners po. So, yung workout fundraiser po, yung title niya ay Sweat to Protect. So, parang medyo ginamit pa rin po yung Fight to Protect na pangalan. So, ang nangyari po, so gumawa kami ng fundraiser. Yung Project Safe po, yun ang project na pinupondohan po ng fundraiser na yun. So, I think it was a month and a half po nag-raise ng funds, but meron po siyang main event, which was yung Sweat to Protect event, kung saan throughout the day, yung mga iba't ibang batchmates ko po, nagkaroon po ng pa-workout. Kumbaga, parang libre naman po yung event, pero what the workout fundraiser did was pinromote po niya yung cause. So, mas lumawak din po yung reach. Marami pong, actually, ang maganda rin po doon, yung mismo mga batchmates po, hindi nila alam na nangyayari ito sa bansa natin. So, mismo sila po na-educate and yung communities din nila na-educate din po. So, ayun po yung naganap na event namin noong May ng 2020.
Ang galing, no? I'm very impressed. Talagang nakakatuwa na may mga grupo na ito ang tinututukan, no? Because even in the pandemic, and in fact, ngayong panahon ng lockdown, nagkaroon na statistics na yung increase in the offenses against children ay napakataas, no? It was 246%, and this mostly are sexual in nature, no? And so I understand na kayo nagkaroon ng dole-out assistance to families who parte po yan ang panayam natin kay Meggie Ochoa, ang ating Jiu-Jitsu champion, although nauubusan tayo ng oras. So we will try to play back that entire interview sa ating pong susunod na episode sa susunod pong Sabado. Again, we thank Meggie for her time, and again, we're very proud of what she's done as not only for the sport but also for many, many exploited children. Bago po tayo magtapos, gusto ko lang magpasalamat sa lahat ng mga nagpadala ng kanilang opinion sa ating Pulso ng Bayan. Si Ighot J. Ann, sabi niya napapanahon na po siguro, natutukan naman ang 3x3. Congrats Philippines, galing ni Chico. Ang sabi niya, I guess, si Chico Lanete. At si Jim Pagia, sabi niya, same pa rin, dapat tumutok sa mapa 5-on-5 or 3x3 sa international basketball ang Pilipinas dahil hari pa rin ang basketball sa C-Nation ang Pinas, at both kailangan tutukan talaga. Marami pa po nagpadala dito, si Paul Reyes, si Jet Sanchez. Marami pong salamat sa inyong lahat. By the way, sa Black Saturday, next week po sa Holy Week, wala pong Power and Play na live. Babalik po ang live ng Power and Play sa April 10. Yan po ang ating schedule. Alright, at this point, paano? Tapos na naman tayo. Lagi po nating pinapalalahanan na kayong po lahat ay mag-ingat. Napakarami pong kaso, kahapon halos 10,000. Patuloy ang ating paghuhugas ng kamay, pagsusuot ng face mask at face shield, and of course yung pong social distancing. Huwag po tayong magpabaya. Hindi po biro ang ating pinagdadaanan sa kasalukuyan. At lagi po nating pinapalalahanan kayo na mag-ingat tuwing Sabado. At of course, bawal ang masungit. At sa lahat po ng ating gawain, ad maiorem Dei gloriam, all for the greater glory of God. Kami po ang 1PH Teleserbisyo para sa Pilipino. Happy Sports Weekend, mga kapatid!
Kasama niyo sila sa lakbay sa pagiging mabuting ina. Para kahit anong problema, hindi ka mapapa. Inay ko po! Tuwing Sabado, alas 10 ng umaga.
Si Pat Fernandez ito, ma'am.
Inay ko po! Eto, this morning guys, sabi ko nga siksik liglig. Eto na po, para po sa ating team, nakalagay na po dito ang time frame ng aming usapin. So, para hindi tayo mag-OT dahil last week, grabe, di ba? So, this morning, Inay Pat, Oo, para alam natin, magpupulisan tayo. Kailangan natin
mag naman mag-11, naka-exo tayo nun na, in fairness.
Wow!
Search yung TV.
I love it. Anyway, talakayin natin this morning yung pagpoprotekta sa pamilya laban sa COVID-19. What if magkaroon po ng outbreak sa inyo? We have been hearing cases left and right? Na doon talaga siya nagkakaroon ng outbreak. At mamaya tuturuan tayo sa That's My Nanay gumawa ng iba't ibang arts ngayong Easter Sunday para madagdagan yung activities natin for the family. Grabe, di ba, Inay Pat?
Yes. Kaya tutok lang kayo sa isang oras na tanong-tanong dito na sa Signal Channel 1. Ang 1PH. Mapapanood niyo po kami live sa Facebook and YouTube, pati na rin sa Signal Play app. At yung mga on the road, nako, yung mga kapatid natin busy on the road, mapapakinggan niyo rin po kami sa 92.3 News FM. Diyan lang kayo, ha?
Oo, dyan na talaga sila. And gusto ko lang sana batiin yung mga nakikinig din natin nationwide dahil napapakinggan din tayo sa mga channels ng Radio 5 sa iba't ibang probinsya. So, gusto ko lang sana, umpisahan, kamusta? Si Leggie and Leon, Inay Pat. Ayaw, wala pa si Inay Pat. O, ayan, Inay Pat. Ayan, nakabalik ka agad. Kamusta si Leggie and Leon?
Oo, tuloy-tuloy ang pag-uusap namin. Masipag at masigasig ang mga anak ko sa pag-aaral. Thank you, Lord. Kasi, alam mo, we are of the morning, gigisingin ako, Mom, I want some wheat brown things and then I want a bit of education. Ayan, makikita nyo nag-aaral ang aking bunso. Ayan, nakikita nyo dyan na nag-ABC na siya at nagsispell. Tapos, si Leggie, patuloy pa rin yung kanyang panonood ng mga Bible stories. Meron siyang Bible app ngayong Semana Santa. So, nagbabasa siya ng kiddie Bible, tapos meron din siyang app. So, maganda yun kasi may mga games and mga nakukwento niya kay Len. Very interactive yung app. Ayan, nakikita niyo naman dyan, sila, 3 little pigs, sobrang cute. Nagdadramatize sila, gamit yung mga baso. Yung baso yung, kunwari, yung bahay ng mga baboy. Tapos yung mga baboy, yun yung, mga daliri nila. Kasi yung, meron silang laro, parang may characters yung yung mga kamay nila. Napapanood natin nila yung iba sa YouTube. So, marami silang ideas na nakukuha per play sa internet. So, I'm very grateful. Pero teka, kumusta naman si Erin?
Well,
ang cute.
Wow, gusto mo yun? Hindi, kasi natutuwa ako sa kanya. Siyempre, alam naman natin na pag kids, pinapa-explore rin talaga natin sila, and kung ano man gusto nilang gawin. So, nakita niya yung bottle ng ng chocolate. Tapos, for some strange reason, na-open niya. Pero syempre, hindi naman yung tightly sealed, di ba? So, hinayaan ko lang siya i-explore kung ano yun. Kasi tinitingnan niya yung texture for the longest time. Tapos na siya kumain yan eh. So, pagkain niya kasi usually oats, ganyan. Pag morning, ayan, tuwan-tuwa ako kasi pinapanood ko siya. Sabi ko, anong gagawin niya? Nung natikman niya, parang nag-light up yung mukha niya na, wow, masarap to ha. Tapos, napunta sa paa niya. After papunta sa paa niya, ayun, kinain din niya. Kaya tawan-tawa ako. Yun siya. Pero eto ha, punta na tayo sa ating mommy community. Pag-uusapan natin yung lumalalang bilang ng COVID-19 cases sa bansa at kung paano nga mag-iingat or higit na mag-iingat ang pamilya natin laban sa virus na to. Kasi nga, gaya na sabi ko kanina, Inay Pat, napapansin mo ba, totoo yan eh. Alam mo yung parang quote na kumalat sa FB this week, yung when names turn into, kumbaga, people you do know and people so close to you. Ngayon, we know of colleagues in IPAT who's going through this. We know of people, first-hand friends who's going through this. I can name what? More than 5?
Ng mga kamag-anak.
Oo, ako I can name. Last week,
nila hits 40 daw. Tinatamaan. At kahit mga bata. So, para linawin ng lahat ng ito, meron tayong makakasama ng mag-asawang epidemiologist, Dr. Tony L. Inday. Good morning and welcome.
Hi! Yes, ayan. Good morning po. Thank you so much for joining us. Umpisahan ko na po ito, no? Totoo po ba na bumabata na yung inaapektuhan ng COVID-19? Because we've been seeing yung mga casualty in their 30s, late 20s, even kids having it. Like 4 months old, 11 months old. I could name people I know.
From the start naman, meron talagang young people.
I'm also a pediatrician kasi, so marami, hindi naman marami, talagang mas konti sa mga bata. Pero meron. kahit na dun sa 20 to 40 years old, meron din na naapektuhan. Kaya lang ngayon, mas marami na, kaya siguro mas akala nila, mas dumami.
Okay, I get it. Oo. Paano po ba natin mapoprotektahan yung mga bata laban sa virus ngayong lumalala yung COVID-19 situation ng bansa? And kayo po ba as experts, nakikita ko po kasi maraming doktora nag-voice out ng kanilang concern online regarding hindi sila agree dun sa NCR plus bubble na hindi nila mag-gets, na feeling nila hindi gumagana. Do you share the same sentiments or what are your sentiments if ever?
Well, una yung how to protect the children.
So, sa children, yung unang tanong, pwede silang i-mask, at saka pwede rin may face shield, pero 2 years and above. Hindi pwede yung mga babies sa younger kids because hindi natin alam baka masuffocate sila eh. So, delikado sa kanila. So, ang mas importante, yung mga haharap dito sa mga bata na ito, nakamask at sa shield.
Sa bahay.
Oo, kasi wala silang protection, kasi hindi natin sila malagyan. Pero yung mga 2 years old and yung mga older na children, pwede mo nang same measures, no? Nakakagulat, akala ko, tatanggalin nila. Pero marami naman kami sa pamilya, tsaka sa mga apo namin, talagang nakalagay sila ng mask. No? Kasi nagagaya nila yung mga mas matatanda na nakasuot.
So, tungkol naman...
Pati yung magbubuko dito sa amin, naguhubad nung ganyan. Kinababa niya. Takot kaming lumabas kahit na pag dito naglalaro ng mga bata sa aming garahe. Pag nakita nilang may nagtitida, takbo na kagad pabalik ng bahay kasi nagbababa sila talaga dahil daw sa init. Pero etong mga dok, may tanong ako. Kasi yung mga tao, lumalakas yung loob ngayon na lumabas dahil daw may gamot na ang COVID-19. Gaano po ka-effective daw na lunas itong arsenicum album 30, pati na rin yung ivermectin?
Well, yung sa Iver, yun yung sikat na sikat ngayon, di ba? Ano yan eh, meron naman talagang pag-asa maging mabisa yung gamot na yan. In fact, there are 73 trials going on. Ibig sabihin yan, around the world, 73 funding agencies decided to fund it. Bigyan nila ng pondo para gumawa ng trial. Ibig sabihin yan, kunwari magre-recruit silang 100 na pasyenteng may COVID. Yung 50, bibigyan nila ng ivermectin. Yung 5, wala silang bibigyan na gamot. Tingnan nila kung mas mabilis gumaling yung nabigyan ng ivermectin. So hopeful tayo na sana maging positive yan. Dahil hopeful talaga ang 73 trials. Kaya lang, ito yung 73 trials na to, siya rin ang patunay na hindi pa tayo sigurado. Kasi hindi pa tapos. Kasi kung sigurado na effective siya, hihinto natin yung 73 trials na yun eh. So far, it's going on. So, ibig sabihin, hindi pa sigurado. So, ang payo namin, maghintay. Kasi konti na lang, lalabas na yung results nito.
Konti meaning ilang weeks, ilang months, Doc, bago natin
several weeks or a few months. Kasi yung trial, may sila na lang sila eh. Ano siya, 28 days lang nilang hindi observahan yung mga pasyente. So mabilis lang yung mga tutol, maghintay na muna, at saka yung mga tumutulak, maghintay na lang. Kasi para ang kalaban natin, yung virus, hindi yung isa't isa. Ang hindi na usapan kasi.
Yan. Ito naman, mga doc, gusto ko lang sana tanongin, kapag yung isang member po ng pamilya ninyo, syempre, can't help but work dahil kailangan niyang kumita. Ano po yung yung maipapayo ninyo, kunwari nagkaroon ng outbreak sa tahanan, dapat ba lahat ng members ay pumunta sa quarantine facility? Please let us know yung step-by-step procedure po nito.
So, ang pagpunan pagkaiba, kung meron tayong nakita sa pamilya na nagkaroon ng sintoma at nagsuspect siya na talaga na ito ay may COVID, tapos nag-test positive siya, COVID talaga.
RT-PCR.
Oo, RT-PCR dapat yung test, no? Kung na-positive yun, ang gagawin natin doon, isolate, no? Kakaiba to sa quarantine. Yung isolate, dahil may sakit ka na, may nararamdaman ka na, at nag-positive ka ng COVID, dapat nakahiwalay ka talaga ng kwarto. Tapos yung mga nandun sa bahay mo, kasi bago nila na-diagnose, kasama mo na, pwedeng hahawakan mo na sila eh. Kahit wala ka pang simptoma, nahawakan mo na to, i-quarantine natin naman yung mga tao dun sa bahay. So, maghiwalay yan. Sana kung may mga sariling kwarto, mas maganda. Pero kung hindi naman kaya, house quarantine ang tawag natin. Ibig sabihin lahat ng mga na-expose doon sa ina-isolate nyo, hindi mo na sila makakalabas ng bahay.
14 days yun. So, quarantine doon sa expose, yun ang tawag. Isolate naman yung ginagawa doon sa may sakit. Pareho silang hinihiwalay, no? Iba na ang tawag doon sa ginagawa sa may sakit. Iba yung tawag doon sa mga exposed lang sa kanila, no? So, pinakamaganda para sa amin, tawagan nila yung kanilang barangay para matulungan sila. No? Ang gagawin ng barangay, i-decide nila kung kaya ba dun sa bahay na yun na mag-isolate. No? Kasi yung matanda, hindi pwedeng dalhin sa isolation facility kasi hindi kaya nila, walang tao ron eh. So, makakanapan ng barangay ng paraan na ma-isolate doon sa pamamahay. Pati yung mga quarantine, titingnan nila kung kailangan bang dalhin sa facility kasi napupuno na yung facilities natin o pwede bang home quarantine. No? So, yung isolation at yung quarantine pwede sa bahay. Tutulungan sila ng barangay, decide kung ganun nga pa or kung kailangan sa mga monitoring facilities sila dalhin. No? Yung testing naman,
Kapag ipapaalam na merong may sakit dun sa tahanan, ano po ba yung protocol? Kasi minsan delete na nalalaman na COVID pala yung sintomas na nararanasan nila. Kasi very similar siya sa ordinary flu, di ba?
question. So, dapat
kung meron ka ng mga simptoma, lalo na lagnat, ubo, sipon, sore throat, syempre yung mas hindi common pero parang specific siya doon sa COVID, yung magwala ka ng panlasa o pang-amoy. Suspected mo na talaga COVID yan. So, kailangan ipatest.
isolate na.
Isolate na ipatest. Pag na-inform naman nila yung barangay, may pupunta sa bahay para mag-test sa kanila. Tapos, magdi-design na rin yung barangay kung kailangan i-test yung mga kasambahay nung tao.
Yeah. So, ano yun? Na yun, bago ka matest, pagka meron kang ubos-ipon na nakit ng katawan, isolate na kagad yun before the test.
Pero minsan may mga nagre-reklamo kasi since mild lang or very negligible daw yung symptoms nila, late lang na nalaman na nagka-COVID nga sila. Tapos, from the day na magkakaroon or matetest silang positive, tsaka pa lang daw magsusimula yung 14-day quarantine. So, bawal lumabas ng bahay. Dok, ano masasabi niyo po doon?
At alam nyo, kaya nakakatakot ang COVID. Nakakatakot siya kasi karamihan ng pasyente na apektado, walang nararamdaman o konting-konti lang ang nararamdaman.
Pero
nakakatakot siya. Sila yung pwede pang lumabas, pwede pang magtrabaho, sumakay sa sasakyan, nakikipag-usap sa kapitbahay. Sila yung sakit, no? Sila yung tulay para makapasok sa mga pamamahay na naroon yung matanda, yung may mga sakit sa puso, chronic lung disease, at makakakuha ng sakit na severe, no? COVID na nakakamatay. So, kaya nakakatakot to. Sana kung grabe lahat, di okay kasi ma-hospital na lang.
Take mo agad.
Oo. Hindi. Merong mild, merong asymptomatic. Kaya nga yung mga
walang simptoma.
Walang nararamdaman. Yun yung exposed. Kaya kina-quarantine yung exposed. Yung ibig sabihin, may nakakararamdaman na sakit. Kasi pwede silang magkaroon. So, inoobserbahan for 14 days.
May dalawa po akong follow-up question. Yung una, what if yung baby nagkaroon din, di ba, ng positive case, maraming ganyan, yung anak nila below 4 months old, wala pang 1, nagkakaroon din ng COVID. Pwede raw ba isama sa quarantine facility? Pwede ba, kunwari yung mom positive din, pwede ba silang dalawa magkasama ng mom? Also, ito pa po yung isa, no, paano kapag yung buong pamilya nagkaroon sa bahay? Okay lang ba na wala na kanya-kanyang isolation kasi magkakasama naman sila? Yun po yung tanong.
Yung sa bata, importante na kung meron ng positive, actually sila yung nagbigay sa bata, pwede na magsama na yung sa isang kwarto. Pwede na yung isolation niya. Kasi hindi mo naman pwede iwanan yung isang maliit na bata mag-isa siya, di ba? So, kailangan may mag-aalaga. Ngayon, kung walang nag-positive pa, exposed lang, o yung nanay negative pa, kailangan nakamask siya para kang yung nag-aalaga dun sa ospital para maalagaan yung bata. Hindi
Okay.
Ngayon doon
Tapos pwede pa rin naman mag-breastfeed yung ina na may COVID dun sa sanggol na ano, di ba?
Yes.
So, pero kung ang nanay wala pa siyang COVID, kailangan importante rin nakamask siya, naghuhugas ng habang nagbe-breastfeed. Pero nakita nila na hindi pa talaga na-prep na pagpatunayan na makahawa talaga yung bata. Pero mag-iingat na, nakamask na yung nanay at saka naghuhugas ng kamay lagi.
Dok, may mga nag-hoard ng mga gamot, no? Yung katulad ng Artemisia, Anwa, pati na rin yung Lianhua, Qingwen. Di ba yung mga exotic na gamot sa ibang bansa na nakakagamot daw ng COVID? Ano po masasabi niyo doon?
Meron kami parang clinical practice guideline. Yung guideline natin information kung ano yung mga pwede nang gamitin. Okay, so marami doon sa mga gamot na sinabi mo, wala pa talagang magandang pruweba o ebidensya na ito ay makakaprotekta. Ngayon, kung hindi tayo sigurado sa mga yun, meron tayong sigurado na pwede maprotekta sa atin. Yung sinasabi namin dapat, no? So meron desperate, wala silang para meron naman.
So, balikan lang natin, Doc, yung dapat nga, antayin nga nila kapag may final studies na. Balikan lang po ulit natin, kapag yung buong pamilya po may COVID, dapat pa po ba sila mag-kanya-kanyang isolation or pwede na sila sa isang lugar freely together? Ayan. Kasi marami pong ganyan ang sitwasyon ngayon at narinig natin sa ibang ospital, pinagsasama na po yung isang buong family para lang magkasya sila sa ospital sa isang kwarto. Ano po ba yung lowdown doon? Ano yung dapat doon?
So kung lahat proven na COVID yun yung tanong, hindi ba? Pwede na sila sa isang room. In fact, useful yan sa akin. May mga pasyente ako na yung lolo na 90 years old, kailangan ng tagapag-alaga, no? May COVID siya. Tapos, nakikita namin na swerte pag yung anak meron din. Kasi yung anak mild lang. Pwede sila mag-room in dun sa hospital. So, yung anak na positive, nag-aalaga dun sa ama niya na positive din. So, pwede, pag COVID na lahat, pwedeng buong household i-isolate sa isang pamamahay or pwede silang ma-confine ng sabay or, So, depende sa availability ng rooms sa hospital.
So, kung sa bahay, pwedeng lahat sila sa bahay lang?
Yes.
Basta lahat sila COVID positive. And last na lang po, naririnig po ako pag na-expose yung tao sa COVID or yung bata, meron silang parang on the 5th day. Kunwari nag-swab sila, negative. Tapos sinaswab sila ulit on the 5th day and on the 7th day. Ano po yung reason for that? May mga ganun po akong mga cases na nakakasalamuha sa news and etc. that do that.
So yung anti-antic na yung sumapit, okay? Pag sinwag ka ngayon, ang ibig sabihin nun, kung negative ka ngayon, pero pwedeng positive ka bukas o dalawang araw or 4 na araw, pwede ka pang positive. Kaya natatakot tayo pag tinest at negative, akala na ng tao, hindi na siya magkakaroon. Pwede pa. So, yun yung ating pinag-iingatan. So, may mga ibang kaso na ayaw nila magpa-test, kailangan talaga 14 days na naka-quarantine sila ngayon. Kasi mas matagal kung wala kang simptomas, hindi mo kasi alam kung kailan umpisa, di ba? Pero kung may simptomas ka, 10 araw lang. Yung testing, sabi nila, hindi naman kailangan ulit-ulitin. Kasi ikaw-quarantine ka rin naman, kahit na ano yung resulta ng test.
Whether positive or Quarantine.
Dapat 14 days. Tapusin nila yung 14 days na yan kahit negative sila. Yan kasi ang ang nafe-fail ng ibang tao. Tingin nila pagka negative sila, negative na. Diyan yung nakikita natin ang maraming example na after nun. So, ngayon, I appreciate a lot of people right now na kahit nag-negative sila, basta na-expose sila, hindi na sila pumapasok. Yan ang dapat gawin. Kasi nga may incubation period na tinatawag, di ba? Na minsan, even after 8 days, lumalabas pa lang yung symptoms.
Kailan po, pag nagka-COVID ka, kailan ka magandang magpa-harvest ng plasma? Kasi naiisip ng ibang tao, parang protection yun para sa mga kasambahay nila or yung mga anak nila. Para in case magkaroon, meron akong plasma na na-donate dito. Pwede nilang isaksak or gamitin doon sa mga bagets. Kailan po ideal na magpakuha nun?
Inaral pa lang yan hindi pa siya proven na treatment. Pero maraming ongoing trials on it.
Meron din dito sa Pilipinas.
Yeah, so sa peak nung peak nung iyong antibody levels, doon nila hina-harvest yung yung plasma.
Napitik yan mga 7 to 2 weeks, no? Pero may mga iba, bilang 2 weeks, mataas pa rin yung antibody levels nila. Pwede pa rin silang kunan. Mahirap yung mag-i-store ka, parang okay, just in case kailangan. No? Usually, kinukuha yan, harvest nila kung meron nang bibigyan ng plasma mo. And then, tinetest muna nila kung sino yung kukunan nila kasi titingnan nila kung maganda pa yung antibody levels. Kasi kung konti na, hindi na lang din nila bibigyan. Ay, hindi nila kukuhanan, no? Pero at sinabi nga ni Tony, pinag-aaralan pa to, yung ibang pag-aaral, sinasabi nila parang hindi siya ganun ka-useful pag nandun ka na sa hospital o very severe na yung case.
So, nasa naagapan kung nagagawa.
True. Ito last, 2 minutes na pala tayo, mga doc. Pasensya na, ito na lang natin yung topic ng mga vulnerable. Ito, konti pa lang daw ang vaccine sa bansa. And we all know na hindi agad matutulungan ang mga buntis, di ba? Na dapat, di ba, ang buntis second or third time, pwede na sila magpabakuna. Pero anyway, since hindi pa, wala pa. Sino mga bakuna? Okay. Ayan, ano daw yung ipapayo nyo sa mga vulnerable habang naghihintay ng bakuna? That is the kids.
May mga supplement ba na pwedeng inumin para enhance na lang yung immunity nila?
There are 200 things in Google nyo. There are 200 things you can take to prevent COVID. So, napakarami yan kung paniniwalaan natin bawat isa niyan.
Pero hindi pa napapatunayan yun. So maraming mga gano'n na sinasabi. Sa amin, mas importante nakamask ka.
Proven eh.
Ventilation. Yun yung dapat namin eh. Ventilate dapat kung nasaan naman. Pagkatapos lang importante yung physical distancing. Diba? Naman natin gagawin para mabilis lang. Yun. So,
yung apat dapat proven lahat yun. So, air, circulation, dapat magandang or outdoors, physical distancing, proven yan. No? Kung pwedeng 3 meters yung pinakamaganda. So, minimum is 1 meter. Dapat huwag lang lalaki pa ron. Tapos, always wear your face shield and mask, proven yan. Tapos, keep the time less than 15 minutes or possible less than 30 minutes. Proven din yan. So, marami tayong pwedeng gawin. With these 4, 90% protected ka na eh. Parang napakon na rin.
Oo, so yung mga, habang naghihintay naman, importante na mapacheck na sila doon sa kanilang mga attending. Para sabihin, pwede na ba ako magpabakuna para alam na nila. Kasi minsan tinatiming niya lalo na doon sa mga nagki-chemotherapy. So, itatiming yung bakuna, pag-clearance na doon sa doktor habang naghihintay para ready na dumating.
Amen. Doc, thank you so much po sa inyong dalawa. Thanks, Doc Tony and Doc Inday. Grabe, ang dami naming natutunan. And I hope lahat na nakikinig sa atin sa radyo, nanonood sa atin online at sa television. Marami rin po napulot dyan, lalo na it's hitting close to home right now. Grabe rin, no? Grabe rin talaga in-impact. Alam mo, ngayon nga, alam mo, kasi syempre hindi naman tayo 0 cases, di ba? Pagdating sa newsroom and in some way talagang we see those people na nag-positive, it's hitting close to home. Grabe rin yung mental fatigue, no, na nararamdaman mo. Alam mo, ilang araw na nga akong di makatulog dahil dyan. As in, inaantay ko na
Ano ba yung bill mo yung parang sa kotse, pag masyadong hanapan ng tao, beep, 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 parang may alarm. Kasi built-in siya.
Binaunan ko nga ng face shield yung mga kasamahan ko, pero hindi ko alam kung nag-work siya kasi pag umi-area ko, kailangan ko pa rin tanggalin. Alam mo yun, naka-shield lang ako. So, alam mo yung, syempre, nandun yung kaba na lahat, pero lahat naman sila naka-mask and shield kasi nga, nabaunan ko. Pero yun nga siya, talagang iba-iba yung mental fatigue niya, no? Pagka alam mong nandun ka sa isang lugar at ikaw yung lumalabas sa pamilya. Yun siya.
Bawal nang hawakan yung mga ballpen, bawal hawakan yung mga lapel, di ba? Kailangan
Alam mo kung bakit? Oo, alam mo kung bakit ganun nga. Kasi nga yun nga, no, kahit na yung pinaka-careful na nalalaman, na nakilala ko, minsan tinatamaan sila, inay. So parang kaya ka nang lulumo eh. Kaya nakikita mo online yung mga, hinaing ng mga tao. Kasi nga, yun nga, talagang di ba, parang the most careful. Grabe tayo lahat, grabe tayo mag-disinfect, grabe tayo pero yun nga, pag nagla-live naman, tinatanggal din for some time yung mask, kaya nakakaloka. But anyway, That's My Nanay na tayo, nandito na siya, dahil 2 taon na natin ginugunita ang Semana Santa sa loob ng ating mga tahanan dahil sa COVID-19 pandemic. Yes, year 2 na po natin ito, at bilang inays, alam ko, there's some sort of, sadness and panghihinayang na hindi mo maipasya ng iyong chikiting at hindi rin sila pwedeng lumabas. Diba, Inay Pat?
That's right. Kaya naman ngayong umaga isang artistic ng inayang magtuturo sa atin ng ilang art activities na pwede natin gawin sa bahay habang nakatimbahay tayo, di ba? Para mag-bonding na rin tayo kasama ng ating mga chikiting. So, ibabahagi niya sa atin yung naitulong ng arts and crafts para labanan ang kanyang trauma sa ating That's My Nanay.
Let us all welcome the owner and founder of Art ni Pauling, Inay Florissa Marquez. Hi, Inay Florissa. Yes, ayan. Sana kumabit ang signal ni Inay Florissa. Hi, Inay. Can you hear us? Ayan, medyo bumibitiw ang internet ni Nanay. Nanay, are you there? Ayan. Narinig ka namin, loud and clear, Nanay. Ayan. So, paano ka nagsimula sa paggawa ng arts and crafts? And paano mo na-discover yung talent mo sa art? I think bumibitaw pa si Nanay. Balikan na lang natin siya para Inay Pat. Kasi yun nga, oo, parang figure out pa niya mga bagay-bagay. Pero at least alam na natin na...
Natitempt ngayon, lumabas na lang, mag-church hopping. Mag-social distancing.
Totoo, sorry alam mo yung medyo sa taas ng kaso natin kahapon, record breaking, medyo naiirita ako na marami pa rin nagbabalak nun. Alam mo yung gano'n, parang okay ka lang. Bakit ka nagbabalak nun ngayon? Okay ka lang.
Pero siguro naman talaga nila na walang tao doon sa pupuntahan nila, di ba?
Paano masisiguro yun? May advance party ka ba? Sorry, paano mo masisiguro na walang tao doon? May advance party ka ba para bantayan na walang tao doon? Huwag ka na pumunta. Huwag ka na lumabas.
Yung iba, di ba nagpapareserve? Meron sa reservation form online. Mga ganyan.
Oo, sobrang dami talagang positive ngayon, okay? Kaya, alam mo, parang it shouldn't be, but it's becoming like what? It's she has it. Parang naging ganun eh. Alam mo yun, at hindi dapat natin i-normalize yun. Kaya, kung makatutulungan natin yung mga frontliner natin, tulungan na natin sila any way we can. And huwag ka nang magbalak. Alam ko na for a time, we felt this sense of hope na because the cases were and the infection rate was going down and nakapag-advance booking tayo para sa Holy Week at leave at kung ano man yan, pero huwag mo nang ituloy. Huwag ka nang magbalak, girl, di ba? Tatay ko sino man kayo, huwag mo nang ituloy. Maawa kayo sa mga frontliner natin. Kung sa'yo, hindi pa malapit sa pamilya mo o wala ka pang kakilala, huwag mo nang antayin na magkaroon, di ba? Kasi inaipat parang linggo-linggo, I mean, this has been a hot topic. 2 weeks na tayo ganito ka-hot topic at maraming mga tao ang talagang ito ang concern ng ating parent ng mga mommy community natin, ng inay community natin, and talagang we have to look out for one another.
Dati up, yung doon kami kumukuha ng station sa Tokro, sa bahay na lang gumagawa kami ng mga karatula, tapos nagsisitiri kaming kandila para sa mga namayapan. Hindi na muna kami dumadalaw. Tapos, ano pa ba? Mag-Zoom call na lang kayo doon sa mga bago niyong panganak na mga chikiting sa inyong mga relatives and friends. Diba? Ang hirap ngayon ng tinitis mo, hindi ka dadalaw, diba?
Totoo yan, pero para yan sa safety nila at safety mo. Alam mo, marami tayo, next time, mag-invite naman tayo ng, ng mga COVID survivor na mga inay. Para i-guess, di ba? Para malaman natin kung ano talaga, para marinig nila first hand ano ba yung mga pinagdaanan, magkano yung gastos, ibang klase. Kagabi kausap ko isang dating colleague din natin sa news, buong family niya na hit neto. And alam mo ba, per treatment, 70,000 para sa nila, nagkahawaan sila buong pamilya. Tapos yung 4, gusto ko lang ibabasahin ko siguro next time kung anong sakto yung mga treatment na yun. Tapos may iniinom sila 15,000, 10 pieces nun. Minsan ka kukuha ng ganung pera, di ba? Parang hinahugot ba yun sa kawala?
Kahit naman na testing yung para ma-confirm na magaling ka na. Halimbawa, 5 kayo, 7 kayo sa bahay.
Wow!
Hindi mo na siya sagot ng barangay. Totoo.
Oh! Diba? Wag na.
Yung supplies, kasi babantayan nila yung gate mo Bawal lumabas yung mga family. Minsan, wala namang budget para magpa-delivery lagi, di ba? So,
alam mo, totoo yan. Going down to that. Pero ito, good news, Inay Pat, okay? Para mahimasmasa naman tayo, mag-usap tayo tungkol sa singing. Nandito na ulit si Mommy, si Inay Floresa Marquez ng Art ni Poleng para bigyan tayo ng mga ideas sa mga activities natin ngayong Holy Week. Inay, Floresa. Ayan. Inatay lang natin. Wait. Okay, so parang wala pa rin pala siya. So pag-usapan na natin, ituloy na natin ang ating
Usually, nag-hardboil kami ng mga itlog, tapos drawing na lang muna Ganun. Yun yung mga...
Parang we're going down to basics.
Surprise.
True. Wait, Inay Pat, mag-gap daw muna tayo.
Huwag kayong alis ha, magbabalik ka ha. Inay mo.
Kasama niyo sila sa lakbay sa pagiging mabuting ina. Para kahit anong problema, hindi ka mapapa, inay ko po. Tuwing Sabado, 10:00 ng umaga. Kasama niyo sila sa lakbay sa pagiging mabuting ina. Para kahit anong problema, hindi ka mapapa, inay ko po. Tuwing Sabado, 10:00 ng umaga.
Alright, we're back, guys. Thank you so much still for being with us here in Inay ko po with Inay Pat Fernandez and of course ako po si MJ Marfoli. Ngayon, kanina nag-pick up na tayo ng mga activities sa pwede natin gawin ngayong Holy Week. Ito po ang art voting si Inay Floresa Marquez! She's in the house! Hi, Inay!
Hello, Inay Floresa.
Ay, wait, Inay Floresa, nakamute ka pa ata. Ayan!
May sounds na po.
Yes, magiging ang sounds mo. Inay Floresa, ikwento mo lang, yung kung kailan ka nagsimula gumawa ng arts and crafts and of course, paano mo yung na-discover itong talent mo? Kailan din mo na-discover itong talent mo?
And bali, ano pa lang po kasi ako, elementary pa lang ako, talagang na-enjoy ko na yung mga projects or subject na may mga ginagawang arts, yung ano-ano. Katulad nung, kung alam niyo po yung projects dati na nauso na magazine siya, tapos tinutupit ko siya, tapos gagawin siyang basket, yung mga ganun po. Sobrang enjoy ko na siya. Tapos, mahilig din po ako maggawa ng mga cards, mga kakaibang cards. Tapos, binibigay ko sa mga kaibigan ko. Elementary up college, talagang ginagawa ko na siya sa mga kaibigan ko. Tapos, palagi nilang sinasabi na, uy, pwede mo tong ibenta. Pwede mo tong pagkakitaan. Kaya ayun po, from there,
nagkaroon ako ng idea, ay, pwede pala akong gumawa ng page, tapos gawa ko ng page, tapos ilagay ko doon yung mga ginagawa kong mga cards, invitations na personalized, ganyan. Kasi
Start from small beginnings, no? Paano ka natulungan nito na ma-overcome yung trauma from your previous relationship? Kasi balita namin na malaki daw ang naitulong sa'yo nito.
And ayun, yung tanong ni Inay pa. Kasi meron dito, meron parang trauma from your previous relationship and ginamit mo rin yung art as your therapy. Totoo ba ito? Share. Wait, nawawala si Inay Teresa. Nag-hang tayo. Pero yung maganda ito, na talagang malalaman ni Inay Teresa kung ano yung talent na ginagawa niya itong negosyo. Alam mo, kung gusto niyo i-check out yung mga artwork, art ni Pauling, sa FB, pwede kayo mag-email sa kanya ng artnipoling@gmail.com. Pero kung narinig tayo ni Inay Floresa, itong mga to, paano ba kinukomisyon ka ba namin? Ano ba yung request sa mga artwork? Gaano katagal yung lead time ng pagka-commission ng artwork sa'yo? Naka-mute ka, Inay. Ay, naka-mute ata si Inay.
Oo nga.
Ayan.
Pero ang gaganda ng mga gawa niya.
Oo. Ayan na siya.
Ayan na po. Sorry, ang hirap talaga ng internet.
Okay lang. Ayun.
Yung page ko focus na sa mga personalized items. Bali, yung unang naging product ko sa page ko is personalized calendars. Ayan. Way back 2018, ito talaga yung pinaka-umpisa kong product. So, kapag mag-order ka, magsisend ka ng 13 images, tapos ilalagay ko siya sa format. Iba-iba yung pictures hanggang December. Ayan.
And napag-usapan natin na maganda tong Easter activity. Magtuturo ka ba ng iyong painting online?
Easter product, meron po kayong mga plaster figures na pwedeng maging bonding ng mga kids at saka ng mommies. Eto, Easter egg. Wow! Plaster figure. What's a plaster figure? Ayan.
Wait,
Tapos
mo na.
Tapos, kasama siya.
I-link mo na sa akin sa lamin,
Paint and paintbrush. Tapos, yung kids and yung mother na yung bahalang mag-design.
Ayan. So, saan namin ito pwedeng bilhin at magkano siya?
Sa page ko lang po, magsisend lang po sila ng message sa every page na artnipoling. Tapos nakapost na po iba pang mga klase na plaster figures, ayan. Tapos, hindi lang mga eggs, meron din mga ganito, mga 2D at 3D figures, available din po siya. At saka, ayan,
So, hindi pwede makanood ng demo mo? Kasi yung ibang younger children, di ba, hindi pa sila masyadong marunong. Saan ka namin pwedeng abangan?
Ano yan? Meron din po tayo
Saan ka namin pwedeng
personalized
abangan for them?
That's nice. Wait, ito na lang. Dahil talaga nag-break ang ating internet, the best talaga Inay, i-DM mo na lang siya ng mga tanong mo. Pero ito, kung gusto nyo malaman lahat, art ni Pauling sa FB, double-L po yan. At i-email nyo lang po yung artnipoling@gmail.com. Pero buti nakita na pa-upload ni Inay sa atin yung magagandang mga plaster figures. Meron pa siya mga toys. Gusto ko yan.
Huling lang siya.
Oo.
Huling lang na Fernal.
Mismo. di ba? So, magpapasalamat na kami at this point sa'yo, Inay. Maraming salamat for showing us your talent. Ayan, pati personalized name mo. Pwede. Alam ko, naghihingalo ang iyong audio, pero kami na, we got you covered here. Maraming salamat for joining us. Clarissa Marquez. O, di ba? Guys, ngayon naman usapang better and mindful parenting muna tayo para sa pagpapalaki ng mga chikiting. Ikaw ay good job, Inay!
Kasi minsan, guilty tayo ng mga magulang na nanggigil trip tayo sa ating mga anak para lang mapasunod sila sa gusto natin. Mami, sino dyan ang guilty?
And of course, paano ba natin may iwasan ang pagiging manipulative parents para sa mas ikabubuti ng ating mga chikiting, di ba? Narito yung ilang paraan. Inay, go ahead with number 1.
Okay, number 1. Imbis na sabihin mo, sabi mo, love mo ko, pero nagsisinungaling ka sa akin, pwede nating subukan na lagi kang magsasabi ng totoo, ha? Huwag kang magtatago. Kasi I promise, hindi kita i-judge. Ayan. So, kailangan lang malaman ng mga anak natin na safe yung space, na okay lang na mag-express sila sa atin ng nararamdaman nila, mag-share sila ng mga naranasan nila, ganyan. Minsan kasi ayaw lang nilang ma-judge. Gusto lang nilang humat ng kakampi or gusto nilang may mahingahan ng sama ng loob. Lalo na yung mga minsan maliliit na bagay sa kalaro nila, sa kapatid nila, di ba ganyan. Makinig lang po tayo, di ba?
Ayan. Number 2 natin, na nakakalungkot, nalulungkot ako pag hindi mo nililinis sa kalat mo. Di ka ba naaawa sa akin? Ako na lang naglilinis palagi. Huwag kayong ganyan. Instead, pwede nyo sabihin, anak, lagi mong tatandaan na it's your responsibility na linisin ng lahat ng kalat mo, okay? So, in return, that gives them, of course, a sense of responsibility which is good for their character building. And hindi ka, alam mo, hindi mo nga sila nililin lang. Parang, wow, para sa'yo talaga. Ako na lang naglilinis. Baka mamaya yung mga Jonesy ngayon na bata, di mo ka maglinis. Diba, maka-learning ka. So, dapat naman tayo.
Kasi yung ibang magulang, inaction nila na yung empathy built-in sa mga chikiting. Nalulungkot sila kapag walang ganun agad, walang kusa. It takes time for you to build that. So, ang maganda siguro, mag-sing-along songs nila. Kaya you make it look fun. Kasi mas makita nilang hirap na hirap ka or ang sama ng loob mo. Minsan kokopyahin nila yan, di ba? Okay, moving on. Sa number 3 tayo. Naghirapan ko yan para mabilhan ka ng toys. Tapos nagtatantrums ka dahil may iba kang gusto. O, subukan natin sabihin na kahit anong matanggap natin na regalo, dapat palagi tayong grateful. Kaya, ayun, maliit pa yung mga anak ko, alam na nila yung ibig sabihin ng grateful. Kasi, yun nga, mahirap yun na hindi natin, kasi lahat naman kahit adults, di ba, gusto nila nakukuha nila yung kung ano yung wini-wish nila. Pero I think nasa example lang magulang kung paano tayo mag-respond sa mga sitwasyon na hindi natin naiiwasan na iba yung nagiging outcome dun sa gusto natin. So, yun.
Meron ka na
nasa pag-i-share sa mga yun.
Mismo. And of course, natututo sila ng contentment for what they get. And of course, looking at the best things. And something very, very simple. Kung hindi yun yung gusto nilang makuha, hindi ito, di ba? Pwedeng makita nila, okay, hindi ito yung gusto ko ngayon. Wala pa ako nun. Pero with what I have, what can I do with it that could make me really maximize the thing that I received and be happy with it, di ba? So, looking at the brighter things as well. And also wants them for that. Ayun siya. Ayun, paano
Sabi ng mga kanila, hindi pa kayo siguro ready para dun sa gift na yun. So, baka pag 7 ka na, 8, ganyan. Tapos magduvina ka para baka sakali mapakinggan ka ni Lord.
or mag-pray ka kung ano man religion mo, di ba? Para hindi lang religion. Para mag-pray ka kung anong klase para relate lahat. Pero ito, mag-switch gears naman tayo kasi sa huling bahagi ng programa natin, alamin natin yung mga diskarte sa buhay at negosyo ng ating mommy writera.
Ayan, let's all welcome ang mommy writera natin for the week, ang baker at owner ng Golden Oven, Inay Ira Tan. Hello! Good morning!
Hi, Inay Ira! Hello! Ayan, pag-usapan natin ang negosyo mo, kaya na nag-start ang Golden Oven at kamusta yung naging adjustment mo this pandemic?
Actually, nag-start ako 2018. Tinawag ko siyang Golden Oven kasi inspired ako magpa-breastfeed dun sa twins ko. By that time, they are already 1-year-old, both breastfeeding. So, yung liquid gold means, yung kambal. So, yung liquid gold means breast milk.
Yes!
So, yon. And then, tuloy-tuloy na yon. Brownies, cookies, ganyan. So, nung pandemic, syempre, parang hindi na ganun kalakas dahil yung mga mommies natin, usually, kaya sila bumibili nun para mag-pump. Yung mga nag-office na moms, yon. So, medyo humina talaga. Kasi nga, yung mga mommy, work from home na. Ayan, yun siya. Work from home na siya.
Pero pag ganun, pag stress, di ba, humihina yung supply. So, marirekomenda rin natin sa mga inay kahit working from home, no? Pwede pa rin yung kumain ng
Pero kasi
goodies to increase your supply.
matching talaga sila ngayon. So, humihina talaga. So, nung nag-pandemic, nag-try ako mag-breads. Ayan, yung mga una ko, di ba, pangit po siya. So, nag-try ako mag-breads. Ayan, nung nag-breads ako nitong pandemic, yun talaga nag-boom. As in, once a week na lang ang pahinga ko. Monday to Saturday, nagbe-bake ako. Sold out yan every day.
Praise God! Wow, congratulations!
Paano mo na-ensure na virus-free yung mga goodies, saka safe yung mga tumutulong sa'yong gumawa?
Dalawa lang kami. Tapos nandito lang kami sa bahay. As in pag sinabi mo home bake talaga, as in nandito lang kami. And then yung mga ingredients ko, lahat yan for delivery lang. Hindi ako halos
Inay, ito, anong tip mo? Kasi alam naman natin ngayong pandemic, sobrang nag-boom ang mga baker, nag-boom ang mga online store. So, ano yung mga tip mo para mahanap yung market mo? Dahil sa'yo sold out, di ba? Ano yung mga style para ma-sold out ang mga products?
Actually, kung ano yung gusto nila, yung hinahanap nila, kung ano uso, doon tayo. Flexible dapat ang business kasi talaga. Kung saan ka, kunyari, di ba, nag-uso yung milk tea. Mag-milk tea ka, malalaos din yan. Punta ka sa yogurt shake. Gaya, tapos hanggang sa malalaos. So, kung saan ang uso, doon ka, bilang entrepreneur lang, yun ang mapapayo ko. Kung ngayon, uso talaga, breads, cookies, brownies, banana loaf, go ka doon. So, yun.
Galing! So, ang bilis mo mag-pivot. Okay?
Yes, but you should be interested to it.
Yes, that's true. Kasi kung ayaw mo yung
Hindi
ginagawa mo.
mag-adjust, no? Pero paano naman yung time management mo? Paano mo nababalanse yung oras mo ngayon na lahat ng tao nasa bahay? Paano kayo mag-bonding ng anak mo?
Hindi ko alam, pero parang expertise ko na ata yung pagta-time management. Like, ngayon, ang dami ko nang nagawa. Actually, I started 6 a.m. Tapos ngayon, nahulma ko na lahat. Nagpapa-breastfeed pa ako ngayon ng 1-year-old ko. Nasisingit ko yan. Tapos nakakamusta ko naman sila. Parang every 2.5 hours, nakikita naman kami dito sa house. May time ko. Like ngayon, nag-oven ako. Kanina, kaka-sit down ko lang. Nag-oven ako. Naka-time lang yan. Tapos, ayan, nakakapag-usap naman kami ng mga kids. Sa baba lang naman yung kitchen. So, mas gusto ko na nandito ako sa bahay na nag-work. Kasi, yon quality time with them.
Oh, super mom. And ito, no, paano mo in-explain sa anak mo pag kunwari sundan dami mo ng order na inaasikaso, di ba? At ano yung mapapayo mo sa mga busy moms sa katulad mo para maging organized? Kasi super mom mo sa business at home.
Actually, ini-involve ko sila habang nag-work ako. Binibigyan ko rin sila ng dough. So, at the same time na nag-mold ako ng mga breads, meron din silang mga dough. Nag-join din sila sa akin. So, ayun, nag-enjoy din sila. Well, nag-work daw ako, sila din nag-work din. Ayun.
Ano may papayo mo dun sa mga nanay na may mga anak na nagsiselos dun sa work ng mommy nila or dun sa mga order. Kasi may kilala ako mga ganun mga bata, di ba? Parang kapag busy ka, mas lalong nangungulit.
Involve them. Ganun lang. I-involve mo sila na, here's your dough. You play with it. Tapos habang ako, tapos habang ginagawa ko yung mga work ko, habang nag-work ako, busy din sila. Tapos habang multitask talaga dapat eh. Kailangan habang may ginagawa ka, dinadaldal mo din sila para alam nila na present ka, na nandun ka, at the same time, yung ramdam nila na nandun ka pa rin with them.
Napakagandang tip
Hindi
yan.
kasi may mga bawal yakin eh. Hindi mo na ako na mga gano'n.
Ay, wala. Hindi ko na pipili sa kanila.
Pero hindi ko pa sa mga bata na sinasabi mga inay pa na iyakin. Siyempre, as usual, patience ang kailangan natin ibigay sa kanila at more understanding na mag-explain sa kanila kung ano nangyayari. And I'm sure by the time if you execute it well, they will get it. But it will take time. But you'll get there. Ngayon pa natin napakasarap ng mga produktong inay. Ano ba yung mga bestseller mo ngayon? Then sabi mo, paiba-iba ka, diba nagpipivot ka like a real businesswoman. So ano yung mga bestseller mo at magkano?
So, those in the picture are the pastries. Lactation yan. Most of them are lactation. But now, focused ako sa breads. These are yung mga milky cheese roll. Yun yung pinaka-bestseller ko. You can have them for 220 pesos. Like, 10 pieces lang siya. Tapos lagi siya naka-compare sa Mary Grace. Parang sabi nga nila, mas better daw. And then I have this floss, pork floss. Mga ensaymada, cakes din. Nag-cater ako ng carrot cakes. For all kinds of
They order.
Actually, kung anong wish nyo, go!
Parang baking. Girl, gawa mo nga ako ng vegetarian paleo, diba? Daily free. Parang ganun, diba? Baka mamaya pwedeng pagawa na rin sa'yo yan dahil may buong menu ka na. Nagmulat ako, ang dami. Hindi lang yung mga nakita natin mga picture. I love it. Wait, so may tanong si Inay Pat. Sorry, Inay Pat, to copywriter. Go ahead.
Hindi, kasi na-mention niya na nagko-customize siya ng cake. So, how far in advance should they order?
Ay, wait. Customization of cake, hindi. Meron lang ako specific cake. Like now, pwede ako pa-order for cheesecake and carrot cake. Yun lang yung specialty ko. Pero yung parang may design, ganyan, wala. Hindi ako artistic.
Wala pa. Okay.
Wala.
Pero how far in advance should they reserve? Kasi minsan nakakaubusan, di ba? Lalo na ngayong Easter.
1 day lang. 1 day ahead.
1 day ahead.
Wow! Talagang masinop si Inay. Pwedeng wait, need ko ng cake. Okay, bukas na. Grabe ka, Inay Ira. Salamat sa'yo. Ganun pala ba? Ganun ang galawan ng business mommy. Thank you so much, Inay Ira. And of course, yung FB ni Inay Ira ay Golden Oven by Cat. Ayun. So please do again, let them know where to contact you and order from you.
Okay, please like and share my page, Golden Oven by Kat, or simply Golden Oven. Makikita nyo na lang po sa logo. And then, you can contact me, 0920-9584-678. Tapos magpo-promo ako mamaya. Ipopost ko later kung ano yung mga available. And you can have them 10% off. Aside dun sa promo set ko later.
Wow. Ayan, abangan natin. Imbis na candy ilalagay dun sa Easter egg, pwedeng mga goodies ni Ira ilagay mo, di ba?
Wow! And salamat Inay Ira for sa pagbabahagi ng mga tips mo. It's very unique. And yung kwento mo sa amin sa inyong mommy negosyo, I love that! And eto na nga guys, eto na. Ngayong araw na to, siksikilig ulit yung mga kwentuhan natin next episode ulit natin Inay ko po. We got you covered kung ano na yung mga gusto nyo pag-usapan, ano yung mga pressing issue natin ngayon. So, ibahagi na po sa amin yung mga topics o concerns nyo na pwede natin pag-usapan, mag-comment lang sa aming Facebook Live, mag-message dyan sa amin sa 1PH!
Yeah, that's right. Samahan mo kami lagi dito sa 1PH Signal TV at Radyo 5 tuwing Sabado, alas 10 ng umaga. Ako po si Pat Fernandez.
Sa Pilipino. Ako po si MJ Marfori. Mag-mask po, maghugas ng kamay, mag-face shield, mag-ingat tayong lahat, huwag ka nang lumabas. Kasama niyo po kami sa inyong lakbay sa pagiging isang mabuting ina.
Kami po ang 1PH teleservisyo para sa Pilipino. At para kahit may problema, sama-sama tayo dito, hindi tayo mapapa.
Inay ko po!
Inay ko po!
Kasama niyo sila sa lakbay sa pagiging mabuting ina para kahit anong problema, hindi ka mapapa, inay ko po. Tuwing Sabado, alas 10 ng umaga. Kasama niyo sila sa lakbay sa pagiging mabuting ina. Para kahit anong problema, hindi ka mapapa, inay